We're veteran, and I give my veterans my all.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Naomi Mathis, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome in to Sports Time on a Thursday, April 6, 2023. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. No Brett Norsworthy today. He is taking a little vacation time through the end of the week, and then Monday he'll be back Tuesday where we'll recap the whole weekend with him and everything that went on at the Masters. As it started this morning, bright and early, and we've had some good golf today, but we'll talk about that throughout today's show and into tomorrow. But Jay Morgan Harder with me, thankfully, pulling double duties, as some would say. But Jay, you all right today?
I'm good, Bryant. How are you?
Wow, that was enthusiastic.
Well, I just wanted to know how you were doing. I think the people want to know how you're doing today.
I'm doing good.
You've enjoyed watching golf, I'm sure.
I've watched golf all day long.
Who's impressed you the most?
You know what? Let me tell you something. This amateur that's hitting the course today, Bennett, I think is his last name. Mm-hmm. What a guy. I wish we had a golf guest on today.
Do you have
ask him about
anything additional to say about him other than that he plays golf and his name is Bennett?
He birdie and then eagle to start the day. Impressive. He won the U.S. Amateur.
Wow.
That's what got him here at the Masters.
Wow.
Amateur. So I've watched a lot of golf today.
Yeah.
You'd be proud of me.
Oh, very much. So you got the U.S. Amateur covered.
Yeah.
What about the there's other amateurs in the tournament as well. Do you have any reporting done on them?
They're not in the top 20 or whatever this guy's in, so we don't care about them.
I see. So it looks like right now Sam Bennett's the low amateur.
Sam Bennett. That's the guy I was talking about.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's him.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, what a performance by him. Hopefully that will get him an exemption to come back the next year as well.
Sure hope so. Liked what I've seen from him so far. John Rahm, after double bogey in the first hole, he shot a 7 under. So, and right there tied for first with Victor Hovland. That was my pick yesterday, so very proud of what he did today.
Victor Hovland?
No, John Rahm.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So you're off to a hot start and you're doing well.
Have you enjoyed the golf today?
I've as much as I possibly could have. I very much enjoyed it. I've been locked in on a few holes, so I've had a great day. You know, a lot worse ways to spend the day than watching sports.
I don't like that, especially today and I think tomorrow too. You can only watch the featured groups or like the certain holes. I just want a main coverage.
Well, there is main coverage.
Not in the mornings.
Oh, you just specifically in the mornings. Well, that's kind of generally how it works, though. You get to watch one group. Or you watch holes, I believe it's 3 and 4, and then you have Amen Corner, and then they also have broadcast of 15 and 16. You know, it used to be back in the day, even when you would watch the national coverage, they would not show you any of the front 9.
Really?
The national coverage would only be back in the day because they're a bunch of blue nose, stuck up, other insulting word type of people that run Augusta National and the Masters. And their prestigious tournament, unless you married into or were blessed to be the child of somebody that's a member or has lifetime tickets, you don't get to see our prestigious 9-hole front.
Oh, so you don't get to see the front 9.
Correct.
Interesting.
They've changed that over time because they started to understand how much money they were leaving on the table by not showing people those things. But back in the day, it used to just be national coverage on the weekends, only Saturday and Sunday. You wouldn't even get to see Thursday and Friday, and then it would be only the back 9 coverage. So they've obviously opened that up a bit. So you should be thankful that you get to watch holes 4 and 5. I mean, they're blessing you with the ability to do that.
What if you choose the featured group, you see every hole that those featured groups play,
exactly
so you
right.
can watch all of them.
And it's usually two groups together, so you really there's really no downtime at all. I have no gripes.
I think
with
this
it.
morning it was Tiger's group and John Rahm's group.
Right now it's Scotty Scheffler's group, and they have another group going on as well. But that's pretty much. I mean, I don't have to tell you this. You're going to watch every tournament all year long.
That's
right.
right.
And you already have been. You didn't just start watching golf.
No. I said yesterday that this is really the start. The Masters is the start of the golf season.
Oh, is that right? So it's like Christmas Day in the NBA.
Right.
Nobody cares about what's happened
the
so
month
far.
and a half before Christmas Day.
Agree.
2 months, whatever
Totally
it is.
agree. So
I don't even know how much time's before the Christmas Day game.
Well, I don't have to tell you this because of how closely you've been watching golf through the years.
Right.
That's also the way that PGA Tour Live does their streams for the rest of these tournaments as well. So if you don't like it now, you really must not like it for the rest of the tournaments.
What'd you say it's called? PGA
Tour Live.
Tour Live. That's now on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it started
So
last year. You
just
can
get
also buy it
ESPN Plus.
independently, though,
Really?
if it's something you're interested in.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's been a fun day of Masters golf today. That's for sure. We'll give you updates throughout the next 3 hours on everything going on at Augusta National.
Can't wait.
Really? Good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good. But the Grizzlies played last night, and they got they lost 138-131 against the New Orleans Pelicans on the road, and down 5 with about 13 seconds left in the game, able to tie the game, go into overtime, but just couldn't get anything going in overtime. Only 7 points in the overtime period, where New Orleans scored 14. To get the 138-131 win. But I did find one of my new favorite bets on my sports book. You can bet the amount of field goals made by a team, over or under. So I got 47 and a half made field goals. They scored their 47th field goal to go into overtime, and then they only scored, I think, 3 more. Yeah,
wow.
3 more.
What a bet. Do you like that better or no or yes to runs in the first inning? You have an edge on runs in the first inning, you said yesterday. Isn't that right?
I didn't say that.
So you've put together
I didn't say that.
a model.
I didn't say that.
Presumably using like Microsoft Excel or some kind of spreadsheet sort of thing like that. So you put together a model where you've actually found an edge to know whether or not runs will be scored in the first inning of a game. Expand on that.
Well, I wouldn't say it's not in that great detail. I mean, you just look at the numbers and
it's a gut thing.
Compile the numbers. No, it's not a gut thing. It's based on stats. But you know, you just compile the numbers and look at different things, elements, factors. There's a lot that goes into it.
And you found an edge on that.
Hard to explain.
You found an edge, you said yesterday.
I guess you could call it an edge.
Yeah? An edge?
Yeah, why not?
So, like, prolonged, if you bet on yes and no every day in multiple games, you would be able to make, let's just say, 58% of the time you would hit that or more of that.
That's an interesting number to use, 58%.
Well, generally when I say an edge, I think 60. But I'll give you 58. 55 is breaking even, let's say.
Yeah.
I'll give you 58.
But, I mean, I think it all depends on if you can find an edge in that matchup, you know? So it's really a game-by-game
So it's a
thing.
game edge.
Right, yes.
You have no edge.
No. This isn't a grand scheme
Right.
thing. This is just like a game-by-game. You can pick and choose different ones.
Oh, so it's really not like a coin flip or like playing roulette.
No.
You got an edge. You got a system.
No,
and
I can find edges.
It's
in
more
games.
than a gut.
More than a gut.
And less than a model.
Less than a model.
I see. Well, you got to break that out at some point. Do we have bets today? Are we doing bets today?
We are. Why not?
So we're going to talk out our bets maybe later in the show today.
That's one of our favorite segments.
I love talking out our bets. Talk out our bets a little bit later in the show, and
yeah,
maybe you can display this edge you have. Although a lot of the games have already.
Yeah, we only have 2 games tonight.
Braves,
a lot of day. Not a lot of games today in the MLB to begin with.
Preemptive rainouts.
Yes, what was there? 4 or 5 games that got rained out
announced
today?
yesterday. Though.
That was weird.
So before the rain occurred.
I don't get that. But
the Braves play tonight against the Padres. What's the other game?
The Dodgers play somebody.
Oh, the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks. Merrill Kelly on the mound.
So maybe we'll have to talk out bets a little bit later for that.
Yeah,
maybe,
for those 2 games.
Maybe there's an edge in first inning runs or no runs. We'll just have to find out together.
We'll just have to look. You know, that's why we talk out our bets.
Nationals and Rockies are about to start. The only reason I know that is because I got Josiah Gray throwing on today. He did not have a good first outing.
Is he on your fantasy team?
Well, I don't have a fantasy team.
You're partial owner
minority
or
stakeholder in a franchise that's a franchise league, so it's not like this willy-nilly, let's draft every year and see who you get type of thing. No, these are guys that are kept over a period of time, and yeah, Josiah Gray is one of my players. He'll be at the postseason gala.
Good to know. Good to know. So you've got interest in that game for sure.
I do.
Starting
I'm
in a couple
in
minutes.
That's right.
That's fun. But we'll talk out our bets a little bit later. We'll definitely get into the Grizzlies and their loss to the Pelicans, as well as some Masters. Keith Smith is going to join us from Spot Track at 4 o'clock. We'll talk some NBA with him. Excited to talk everything around the league.
That's
as the
what it
season.
was. That's what it was. Do you have an edge on field goals made?
I know. I was just.
You just felt like
I just saw it and was like, "Why not?"
you prefaced it by saying it's one of your favorite new bets. That's why I was asking.
because it's thrilling.
Is it really?
Yeah, especially in late
What
game.
made you take the over? Just cheering for offense? You don't want to be anti-offense. Boo! Every time the Grizzlies make a shot.
Well, I kind of went back and forth.
You're
on
an eternal
the bet.
optimist.
Can I tell you when I made the bet?
I would love to hear it.
So I went to Target with my girlfriend.
I thought
she
it was
needed
maybe
to get some things.
you were talking on the air. You got so excited about the Grizzlies game that you
No.
clicked the over.
It was halftime of the Grizzlies.
So it
Pelicans
wasn't even
game.
a pre-game field goals
No,
made bet. It was a
no.
live halftime bet.
Halftime bet. We're in Target. I was in the restroom and just looking for something to play, and saw field goals. They had already made about 23 at halftime. The line was 47. I said, this could get competitive down the stretch. I'll take the over. I placed the bet, and then while I was walking around Target, go, you know what? The Grizzlies have been awful on the road, specifically in the second half. Maybe that wasn't a good bet.
I see. So it was more degenerate behavior then.
Sure.
Lack of self-control to not place a wager.
I've never thought of myself as a degenerate, but
well, Brian, that's the behavior of one. I'm afraid.
Is it?
I mean, needing the fix to place a bet while you're using the restroom in Target.
Well,
I would say that is behavior of an addict.
What does T Money and Uncle Brasky say? You chase your losses.
Yeah, the only bad bettor is one that quits or something like that.
So that's what happened yesterday. I lost a couple, so I was just chasing at the end of the night.
I think people also say going to rehabilitation clinics is for quitters too. So I guess it depends on your attitude, or
depends on what kind of quitter you are.
Depends on what your perspective is on the subject.
Quitter. Interesting.
What your view of a healthy life is, nonetheless. So Keith Smith at 4 o'clock. Then,
Keith Smith, 4 o'clock. We'll talk everything in the NBA as. Sunday, last day for the regular season, a lot still to play out. We'll talk about all that with Keith. We'll get to big number of the day later. We'll talk about what's trending about 5:30. We might, if we have some time, we still haven't gotten your baseball picks. We may or may not get your baseball picks today
may or may not.
or tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Huh?
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
I got a few kinks to still work out.
I don't think that's fair.
And by kinks, I mean I haven't even written one team's name on a sheet of paper yet.
I don't think that's fair. Me and Brett made our picks before the season even started.
I'll stop watching then.
We're a week in.
I'll stop watching.
You'll stop watching the 2 games
Honestly,
tonight?
Going by what happened a weekend is almost maybe like a disservice. Like, I might say the Orioles win the World Series now, and they might finish like 40 games below 500, Just because they've started out well, they have no pitching to sustain it. So it actually might be a disservice to have watched 5 baseball games at this point, and then make my entire season standings based on that. So you might actually have an advantage in that case.
Maybe I have the edge here.
Maybe so.
Found an edge.
You found an edge?
There you go. So
I don't think you know what an edge is.
We might do that tomorrow. Do I not?
No, not so far.
It's okay. But the Grizzlies last night got helped out by the Kings losing to Dallas, which Dallas played really well last night. Before the Grizzlies, Jaren looked good-ish. 40 points, but 13 for 28 isn't fantastic. Santi got injured. I thought that was big. I'm curious to see what comes out of that because Santi's played well. He's been a good rotation piece for the Grizzlies, and I don't want to be down another player with the playoffs right around the corner,
No, you don't want to be down, especially when you already have 2 5s that aren't playing at all, and you're having to throw Jaren Jackson at the 5 in this case, which is not ideal. Although other fans would argue that it is ideal. They've been waiting to see
since day one
to Jaren to play the 5. They actually think it would be better served by the Grizzlies if Jaren played the 5. Also, they think they would be better served if he took more shots. And last night he had 40 points, taking a lot more shots. Yeah. Took the most shots on the team, so maybe they're right. Who knows?
9 rebounds to go with that. Maybe 4 blocks also. So a good game from Jaren.
It also doesn't seem like, I should say, there's been no additional reporting, but it doesn't seem like Santi's injury will be prolonged any more than just the remainder of yesterday's game.
Oh, good.
But no reporting has been done on that yet. That's all speculative based on right after the injury yesterday.
Good, because I know there was a lot of people kind of going back and forth last night on Twitter about how bad of an injury that would be. Definitely don't, and especially, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with Steven Adams if you're going to be able to get him back.
If he'll ever play again.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're supposed to get some news on that at the end of this week, an update.
Is that
what
right?
They said. That's what DeMichael Cole reported that they told them on, when was the last home game? What's today? Tuesday. They said on Tuesday they got an update saying that.
No, it was what's today?
Today's Thursday. Last night was
I think it was Tuesday.
Thank you. Tuesday they got an update saying that there would be an update on later in the week, towards the end of the week.
I love an update about an update.
An update on an update.
I want an announcement that tells me there's going to be an announcement at a later date.
Right.
That's the perfect kind of announcement.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get an idea of maybe when he could return some point later this week, but I really don't know at this point. I don't feel particularly good about him returning.
He's been cleared though, right? No, that's Zion that's been cleared. I don't know if we know anything about whether or not Steven Adams has been cleared.
Last update we got from Steven Adams was that he got the stem cell and that it was going to be 4 weeks.
Right, but there was a complication with that, right? They thought it would do more. It would be more beneficial than it was, and it ended up. That's what kept him out the additional 4 weeks, wasn't it?
No. That was the first. There was a complication with the first
stem cell.
I don't think he got a stem cell the first time.
But he got an injection in his knee.
Right, he got an injection, but
that's when they said that he'd have to be reevaluated in 4 weeks.
And then we got to that, and then they said he got a stem cell. And now we're waiting to see what that does. The complication was before this.
I thought the injection was the stem cell.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Maybe it was. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we've gotten an update since that happened. I think there was a complication with him coming back before he got the stem cell.
Well, he's looked great sitting on the sideline.
Sure.
He wore his Steven Adams shirt
Hawaiian
the other night.
Shirt, yeah.
He looked really good, dapper.
Well, I would rather
like
see him look good on the court.
Oh, would you?
I've seen him on the bench. I've seen him in the commercials. I want to see him on the court playing.
I'd like to see Jaren play the 5 a little bit more, if you ask me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, maybe you'll see more of it. Maybe even in the playoffs.
I would hope that it would be ideal for me.
Center in the playoff. Would it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because then everyone could shut up about it. Okay. Is that too rude? It's not overly rude.
You know, it's who you are. I'm not gonna stop it.
All right.
But we need to get to top and not top story of the day.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is that the second seed is still up in the air after the Grizzlies' loss last night, but Sacramento did do the Grizzlies a favor by losing to the Mavericks. So we're still kind of where we were yesterday, where it's 2 games left. I think still a 2-game difference between the two teams, so a lot still to shape out in the next couple of days. But I said it yesterday, I do think both the Grizzlies and the Kings have somewhat difficult final 3 games, but I think the Kings might be a little more challenging than the Grizzlies, but all 3 road games is going to be tough for Memphis. But last night's loss, it locked up the number 1 seed for Denver. They've got a 52-27 record right now, and they'll go in as the number 1 seed. And right now it looks like if the Grizzlies can lock up the 2 seed, if everything was set like it is today, they'd play the Lakers in the first round, but they're the Warriors right there back in the 6th seed, so anything can really happen. I don't know if I want to see either of those teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, me either. I'm pretty much scared of everybody, I guess, at this point, except if there's a way that the Thunder were to make that spot. And I'm starting to not be as afraid of the Mavericks. I guess we'll talk more about that with Keith Smith. My top story is also the Grizzlies. What are the odds? I mean, that we both have the same top story today.
Never thought of that.
The Grizzlies losing to the Pelicans in overtime last night, despite a 40-point game from Jaren Jackson Jr. You know, if Dylan Brooks shot 28 times and still scored 40 points, we'd be talking about how low a percentage he shot. However, Jaren Jackson Jr. with 40 points on 13 of 28, even though he's playing the 5, no one seems to mind too much. Meanwhile, in Dallas, it's Luka Doncic's fault, while he's shooting over 50% and averaging 38 points a game, that the Mavericks missed the playoffs. So it seems like the way we judge these things is not very consistent whatsoever. Nevertheless, Dylan Brooks last night did have a good night, 9 of 15 shooting with 25 points. And the Grizzlies, although it was not enough for the Grizzlies to win the game, although he had a clutch 3 to even put them in that situation. 2 more games for the Grizzlies, both on the road at Milwaukee, the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, and at Oklahoma City, a team that is fighting for that last spot in the play-in right now. End of story. Oh, that's when I played not top story?
That's right.
Not top story of the day.
There you go.
I nailed it.
That was better. What do you think the motivation will be for Milwaukee in the next game?
I don't know.
I mean, do you think they'll play everybody? I mean, or will this be let's rest some guys and maybe the Grizzlies can grab a win there?
Well, I've got to be honest with you.
Please.
Well, first of all, I think Milwaukee is the 1 seed in the East.
They are.
They have decided they're the 1 seed in the East. In terms of their motivation, I don't know. Maybe there isn't any. Maybe they rest everybody. What's the Grizzlies' motivation?
It's a good question.
Is the 2 seed important to anybody? Who cares?
I mean,
seriously,
no,
who cares?
That's a good point.
I mean, it's been the most talked about thing in the local media, as though people in the front office and the team and the coaches care a lot. Yeah. Like the 2 seed is some sort of championship. Yeah. Who gives a crap, honestly?
And that's what that was literally going to be, and it still will be my first question to Keith Smith, is how much does this team care about the 2 seed? Because it seems like you said, it's been the story for 3 weeks now, 4 weeks now.
I just don't think why it matters. Like, we're upset Ja Morant didn't play last night because we went the 2 seed. Who cares?
Yeah.
You got to play the Warriors, the Lakers, a healthy Pelicans, maybe the Clippers. What difference?
The West ain't going to be easy.
Your matchup, exactly. Your matchup is way more important to me than wrapping up a 2 seed, and as though that matters at all to anybody.
And that's what DeMichael kind of said to us Monday, and he wrote a story about it. If you want to read that, go over to the Commercial Appeal, because he did a great job kind of talking about how it's changed for the Grizzlies. Last year, there was so much pride in getting that 2 seed just because of kind of that build-up for the team, this young group. But that this year, they're kind of prioritizing resting guys. They already have a top 3 seed locked up. Let's kind of not rest these guys, but if they're a little banged up, give them a night off, because they're not as concerned about the 2 seed as they were last year.
It's almost like in the minds of people that discuss these sorts of things, or maybe within the fan base, I don't know, I don't have a good gauge on what the fans are saying, but it's almost as though wrapping up a 2 seed means we're the second best team in the West. And that means we're going to go, our expectation should be we're going to the conference finals.
Yes.
And if you get to the conference finals, that means you have a chance to make the NBA finals,
right,
as though your seed matters at all.
It's a good point.
A little frustrating.
It's a good point. We'll talk, I'm sure, more about that a little later in the show. But my not top story of the day is what's happened at the Masters today. I thought it's been a fun day of golf. I've enjoyed watching it. Tiger really struggled early. It looked like couldn't really get anything going. Made a couple birdies late. I'm not sure what he finished the round with. 2 over. So a little better than what he was doing earlier in the round. But those live guys, Brooks Koepka right there in third spot. Phil Mickelson out with his team gear on the course. So it's been interesting. It's been a fun Thursday, and I'm sure this weekend, hopefully weather permitting, we'll have a fun finish.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
Otherwise, the finish will not be that fun.
Because it'll be on a Monday.
Because it'll be on a,
That's
well,
right.
presumably.
Presumably.
That would be great, actually. You know what? That's what I'm cheering for now.
For a Monday finish.
That's right.
Wow.
Because it gives me something to watch on Monday in that case.
That's true.
My not top story, wow, what are the odds? I mean, my top story was also the Grizzlies losing, and my not top story is also the Masters tournament going on. That is unbelievable.
It's like we're in sync.
The magic number is 60, or it's formulaic, and everyone could possibly predict our top and not top story every day. 65 is the magic number right now.
Yeah,
That's what Victor Hovland finished at. That's what John Rahm has finished at. A lot of names still on the board playing. Some names even on the front nine still. So a lot of golf to be played today. And even if they finish with that 65, a lot of golf to play over the weekend.
Right.
I heard them talking this morning. This is scoring day. If you want to score at all and put yourself in position, today is the day to do it because weather will be a huge factor the rest of the weekend. So if you want a low score, today's low score could end up going a long way to Sunday. But still a lot of golf to be played.
A Thursday tournament, you could say.
No, I don't think you could.
No?
It's just scoring day. It doesn't mean that you can score low.
Tournament's made on a Thursday.
You can. Well, I don't say
Tournament's decided on a Thursday, you could say.
I don't think I would say that.
Victor Hovland and John Rahm finish?
Crown them now.
That's right.
Interesting.
Okay, well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Grizzlies, their loss last night against the Pelicans, and the last two games of the regular season. That's next on Sports Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Conway Services are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Take advantage of our 83 or It's Free mainline drain clearing special. If we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 1968.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. Brett out for the rest of the week, but he'll be back next Tuesday. We talked a little bit about the Grizzlies and their loss last night to New Orleans, but the Grizzlies led early, a 17-point lead at one point late in the second quarter, but the Pelicans stormed back in the second half, mainly because of the three-point shooting last night. 53.8% from behind the arc for the Pelicans, 21 for 39. And this is a New Orleans team that you could very well see in the first round. I know we talk a lot about that 7 seed, but that 8 seed, which is what New Orleans is sitting at right now, could jump the 7 seed and be the 7 seed out of the play-in. How much of a concern does the Pelicans pose to you if you're the Grizzlies, Jay?
I mean, very much so to me.
Right.
I'm operating under the assumption Zion Williamson will be back. They were the 2 seed in the Western Conference.
How you said he's cleared. How close do you think we are?
They're basically evaluating him when the playoffs start to put him into the playoffs. Is the way I understand it, at least. We can ask Keith about that.
Sure.
Maybe he has a better outlook of it. He's going to play. If you ask me, I think he's going to play. And the Pelicans were a 2 seed before he went down. And I think they are more than capable of playing at that level, especially if you look at the Grizzlies without Steven Adams, which in the same way that I assumed Zion Williamson will be there, I actually would assume that Steven Adams will not be playing for the Grizzlies when the playoffs start, although there is that week off, so I guess anything could happen in that time span. If he does play, is he 100% healthy? Yes. All that is to say the Pelicans concern me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Brian, do they concern you?
Well, I think so. I mean, for the past couple of years, really ever since people have wanted to start this rivalry between the Pelicans since Zion got drafted 1 and Ja got drafted 2. I mean, New Orleans has really dominated the series, and not a ton of wins for the Grizzlies. I think they split the season series this year, the two teams. But Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely have to concern you. I mean, any team that has Brandon Ingram and you get Zion back should definitely scare you. I think one thing, Jaren had a great game last night with 40 points, but Valanciunas was in foul trouble for a good part of that game.
And also ate him up before he was.
Right.
I guess that's only his one bucket that he made the whole night, but that one bucket was mano-a-mano matchup.
So in a playoff situation, Valanciunas isn't going to be in foul trouble every single game. And if you have Zion there, you have that additional help inside to kind of and more mobile because that's what one thing a lot of people were pointing out is that Jaren was able to take Jonas off the dribble, kind of stretch him out a little bit last night in that game. But if you have Zion down there, you've got more of a mobile guy that you could probably put up against Jaren. You've got more options in a sense if Zion plays. So yeah, I mean I think, but you're also the guy that's any team the Grizzlies play in the first round probably scares you, except for the Thunder. We've already talked about that.
Not scared of the Timberwolves either.
Really?
I'm not at all. It's a whole new team. I don't understand why we're talking about the rematch of the Timberwolves. I guess they still have Anthony Edwards, but the entire makeup of the team is totally different. Not only losing D'Angelo Russell, but the bigs inside. Jared Vanderbilt gave the Grizzlies a lot of trouble last year, not on the team anymore.
Right.
I'm not scared of the Timberwolves either.
Pat Bev was the one that really kind of sparked that series with the kind of back and forth, and he's not on that team anymore. He's
that's another person that's not on the team. You're right. I didn't even consider him to be a factor in that regard, but you're right. He's not on the team anymore, and like you said, sparked a lot of their motivation last year in the playoffs.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a different team. What does I'm blanking. Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
That not bother you?
Not even a little bit. That guy stinks.
I forgot you're not a Gobert fan.
But it's not. It's not. That's not an opinion. He stinks.
He's not a good player.
He's not.
So that done.
He made 2 All-Star games on the prowess of their entire defensive scheme was based upon him sitting near the basket and other perimeter defenders letting guys go by them so he could block their shots.
Yeah.
He has absolutely no offensive prowess whatsoever. No, I do. He does not scare me one bit.
What do you think of Trey Murphy for the Pelicans? How much have you watched a lot of him?
He's played 2 good games against the Grizzlies.
30 points last night.
He's played 2 good games against the Grizzlies. He's a good player too. I think he's a young player too. It's like his second
2021 draft.
Yeah, second year in the league. So he's a good player as well. Like Herb Jones as well. He's a really good perimeter defender.
Another young guy.
I actually thought we would see more of Najee Marshall. He's an excellent defender. When they had a lot of guys hurt, he played a lot of perimeter defense. But they also had the addition of Josh Richardson. They got the trade deadline from San Antonio. So you get the Pelicans healthy, they're concerned. Certainly an underrated team. That could be in the play-in series.
And I completely forgot, kind of looking at last night when I was watching the game, that the Grizzlies originally drafted Trey Murphy, and then he was part of the trade that sent Jonas to New Orleans, also sent Trey Murphy to New Orleans to get Steven Adams.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that was a lot of the talk after the game last night was, what if the Grizzlies had Trey Murphy instead of like Zaire, because a lot of people are anti-Zaire right now. Exactly, and a lot of people think Zaire's a bust.
But what if they didn't have Steven Adams?
That's a great question.
There you go. So you're 6 in one, half a dozen in the other.
Huh?
Don't worry about it.
Was that saying?
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
6 in one, half a dozen in the other. See, they both equal 6.
Okay. Sure. I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused, but whatever. So following last night's game, the Grizzlies have 2 more. Before the end of the season, they'll play at Milwaukee. We already kind of talked about that a little bit. And then at Oklahoma City. As much as I hope they don't, there's a strong possibility they finish the season 0-3 in these last 3 games on the road.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point earlier. What does Milwaukee have to play for in terms of playing guys out there? But I also could say the same thing about the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
I see no motivation there. And then you see the Thunder really needing – the Thunder, first of all, are good at their home floor. There's no guarantee you win that game. The Grizzlies have already lost once in Oklahoma City when
that was
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, neither of the Williams, nobody played.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no guarantee. And the Grizzlies played everybody. before anybody was hurt.
And who knows who they play in that game?
So exactly. So who knows who they play in that game too? So it wasn't even a guaranteed win to begin with. Certainly, all these late season factors come into play there. They might not win another game, but I would say by the same token of we need to win all these games to be the 2 seed. Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. At this point, the teams have kind of solidified themselves as what they're about. Their strengths and weaknesses. It comes down to matchups at this point.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the thing that not a lot of people are thinking about that you pointed out earlier in the first segment is that, one, how deep the West is in terms of teams and how much it's changed from the start of the season with, teams getting healthy, teams being injured. You pointed out New Orleans was a 2 seed earlier in the season when they were all healthy. Now that they haven't been healthy, they've dropped all the way down to the play-in. If they can get out of the play-in and they're at full strength, I mean, that's a scary team to compete with. And then you've got the Suns with the addition of KD. I mean, everything changes when it comes to the West. So I think you're right. It's all about matchups. And they would get the Clippers in that 3-6 if things were done right now and the Grizzlies were in the 3 seed?
No, they would play the Warriors.
That's right.
But to argue against myself in that regard, too, is that getting healthy at the right time is not always created equal. For instance, the Warriors getting Andrew Wiggins back is a team you should be scared of. They can turn it on immediately. They have championship pedigree. That is part of their culture. All those guys know exactly what they're doing when the playoffs start and know exactly how to play in that time frame. New Orleans doesn't.
They don't. Yeah.
So even though I am scared and I think they deserve your respect to be a healthy Pelicans team, all these teams getting healthy at the right time is not always created equal in that way. Nonetheless, though, all we have to go off of is what we've seen, and a healthy Pelicans team could absolutely do some damage to one of the top 2 teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think you're right, but I don't know. It'll be I think it's still a lot has to be played out. I don't know.
2 games, in fact.
Yeah, but
then the play-in series.
But in those 2 games, a lot can happen in terms of seeding. Like, I mean, Grizzlies are 2 seed right now. They could end up being a 3 seed. A lot of that play-in games, those teams are only separated by a couple of games. So one loss here, a loss there, a win from another team could change it drastically. So looking at it today is hard to kind of see who a team you're gonna play because so much can change in just 3 or 4 days.
Everybody could get hurt.
Well, that's not really what I meant, but
it's true.
I guess it is true,
unless they don't play.
Which I think a lot of these top teams will start.
They get in a car accident. I mean, things have a way of changing on a dime. Nothing's ever etched in stone.
Nothing's promised.
Except for gravestones. Those generally are etched in stone.
Well,
generally people don't come back to life once they pass away.
That's not what I wanted to hear on a Thursday afternoon.
Somber
rainy Thursday afternoon.
That's what's got me thinking about
very
death.
Somber. I guess so.
Is the rainy afternoon.
But let's go ahead and get to a break on that note. And when we come back, we'll give you a Masters update and talk a little bit about what's happened over at Augusta National this afternoon. That's next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Are you looking to lease a commercial space for your business? Call Stephen Hoffman. Are you a landlord looking to have your space leased? Call Stephen Hoffman. Maybe you're looking to buy or sell commercial real estate. If so, you want a professional broker looking out for your best interest, and that broker is Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Stephen is a Memphis native who knows his market well and only works the commercial side of real estate. He works for a great firm that has been locally owned and operated in Memphis for almost 40 years. Whether representing tenants, landlords, or investors alike, you are sure to get great market analysis, access to on and off-market listings, and a tough negotiator on your behalf. Call 901-761-5595 and ask for Stephen Hoffman. You can also find him on the web at MyersCRE.com. That's MYERSCRE.com. Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Representing your real estate business is his business. Call Stephen Hoffman, 901-761-5595.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, April 8th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We will be taking applications, performing basic testing, and interviewing candidates on site. Free parking located at Poplar Avenue and Front Street. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 in relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you. The Masters going on right now throughout the weekend, and today and tomorrow, Sports 56 will have Masters updates for you once every single hour throughout the day to keep you up to date on everything going on at the Masters. Those Master updates brought to you by Courage Through Cancer. Courage Through Cancer is hosting the Courage 5K on Saturday, May 20th at Shelby Farms Park, benefiting Baptist Cancer Center. Go to www.ctcmemphis.org to sign up now for the Courage 5K, again benefiting Baptist Cancer Center. Going on at the Masters right now, Victor Hovland and Jon Rahm both tied for first with sitting at 7 under. Jon Rahm with a double bogey to start the day, but then a strong finish to the round ties him at the top of the leaderboard. Cam Young has also played well today. He's at 5 under and tied for third with Brooks Koepka and Sam Burns. A handful of guys T6, including Xander Schauffele and Jordan Spieth. A lot of the live guys kind of further down in it, but Cameron Smith at 2 under, tied for 14. And then we talked earlier about Tiger Woods. He's at 2 over today, which has him T53 after one round at Augusta National for this Thursday. So still another round, but Tiger needs to have probably a better day tomorrow to make the cut if he wants to get to the weekend. But, Jay, I was reading The Athletic today, And they did a feature story about Tom Kim. You're very high on Tom Kim. He's one of the guys that you enjoy watching, and you kind of pointed him out early into his PGA career. I wasn't aware that he had only been on the tour a couple of months before they came to Memphis in August. 20 years old. I didn't know he's that young.
That's right.
And I think the tour average last year on wins was about 30 and a half years old. So, young guy.
Very young guy, yeah.
And Tom Kim, and playing really well. He did a practice round earlier this week with Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, so he could be a young star in the game in a couple of years.
Yeah, I believe he is located out of Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
I might be Dallas. I can't remember. Either way, one of those two big cities. I think a lot of the Korean golfers are. I can't remember if it's Atlanta or Dallas, but one of those two places. I'm pretty sure it's Atlanta. Is kind of where they put their home base in that regard, and they all kind of conglomerate out of there. But yeah, no, he's a good golfer, a young guy, and he's pretty much been hot since he got on tour. In a way very similar to Scotty Scheffler, who right when he got on tour last year, started making runs at all these majors. He hasn't been on tour for a long time either. A lot of the guys that you would consider the biggest names are fairly young. Now you have like certain guys that have made a name for themselves in a lot of cases, but a lot of guys that people have been touting all week, they're very new to the scene but playing really good golf.
Yeah, but compared to the young golfers on the tour, 20 is extremely young. I think I also saw in the story that he's something like younger than 8 of the top 10 amateurs in the world. So he's definitely hit the scene. And
also, Cam Young might just be a year behind Scotty Scheffler on that trajectory of playing great golf. He's kind of in the same sense of Scotty Scheffler kind of burst onto the scene and has started playing incredible golf. In the clubhouse with 500 today, he could make a big run over the weekend as well.
Cam Young is the one with the MLB logo on his
one of them. Yeah,
I
believe he is sponsored by Major League Baseball. Somebody is sponsored specifically by the Diamondbacks that wears a Major League Baseball something or another. And there's one more person too, who escapes me. I can't remember.
I'm guessing the one that wears the Diamondbacks logo is from Arizona.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. That's a cool sponsorship from a professional team. What do you think of?
Cam Young is the one sponsored by the Diamondbacks.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And like you said, has an MLB patch that he wears, but on his bag, I believe there's a Diamondbacks patch.
Interesting. I think I've seen him also, like one of the shirts he wears has the Diamondbacks logo on the sleeve or something.
And he loves baseball, and it's baseball season, so
That's right. So
that's what it's all about.
Perfect time to wear an MLB patch.
Yeah, perfect. 2 summer sports coming together.
That's right.
2 summer sports cutting it up.
That's right.
A couple of summer sports
cutting it up. All right. What do you think of I know it was a bigger story earlier in the week, but Phil, I think the only one I've seen wearing Live team gear. What do you? I mean,
I don't
it was
even
a
know
big
what
story.
What the hell the teams are, to be honest.
He's the High Flyers.
Well, it's news to me.
It's an H and an F.
How about that? And he's wearing an H and an F on his.
You got to see the logo.
Yeah,
I can't describe it.
I could not care less.
I don't either, but it's been like a big storyline.
That he's wearing that gear, or just the Live golfers playing in the Masters?
No. Well, that is a big story. But an additional big story has been that, I guess, last week maybe there was talk within the Live guys that we're all going to wear our team gear and we're going to make a statement at the Masters. And so I think a lot of the, golf traditionalists were like, well, you can't wear Live stuff at the Masters.
But just to be clear, unless you knew it was a Live logo, like a Live team logo, it would just be assorted golf apparel, right?
That's a good point. Because everyone.
Because I would not have known. I don't even know what. I would not even known the name High Flyers unless you had mentioned it.
Right. Well, and everyone wears so many sponsors and brands on their clothes.
Almost like a NASCAR tracksuit.
That's a good point.
Literally, almost like a NASCAR. And sometimes the more international. Or it's either the very young, not the very young, usually the international or the well-seasoned players They look like they're wearing a NASCAR tracksuit with all the advertising they have on their shirts and whatnot. Phil Mickelson leads that up some.
He does. Yeah. So he's the only one I've seen though to wear it. I know Brooks is wearing all his Nike stuff. A couple of the other guys wearing Under Armour and that sort of thing. So it seemed it hadn't been an issue at all, but it was weird that everyone was talking about what it could become.
Well, Brooks Koepka isn't out there to make statements because, as he's mentioned in the past, between holes 5 and 14, he basically kind of daydreams and dozes off because he just hates playing golf.
He'd rather be on the
lake.
lake.
Hates the sport of golf.
Right.
He just doesn't like it.
Right.
He doesn't practice it. If you see Brooks Koepka playing golf, it's the only time he practices when he's playing in the tournaments. It's a little-known fact that he has stated. He put his voice to that once.
He did. And
that's one of the reasons why people love him is because I also identify with golf being boring. You know, it makes me want to take a nap. And that's how Brooks Koepka feels, too. He's just like me. And so that's the guy that I want to cheer for.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. But he's played well today. He's been Mr. Majors in the past when he was
great. Didn't even practice.
On
he just
tour.
Shows up and plays great.
He's been putting really well today.
Without practicing.
And that was one of his weaknesses before he left for Live is he couldn't make putts. And he putting the ball really well today. So.
Let's see it in a different location. If he keeps up, then I'll give it to him.
Won Orlando last week.
That's right. I had no idea.
Really?
No idea he won in Orlando.
You're not keeping up with the storylines, Jay.
I'm not.
Keeping up with Live.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Live. I just it doesn't interest me at all. And it's not like some statement I'm making. I just don't care.
You just don't care. Well, and you can't watch. I mean, you can the CW, but it's not like it's on the Golf Channel or ESPN or Fox Sports. Something that you think, oh, sports is going to be on this channel. I can go watch golf.
I'm already hardwired to watch. I know what the tournaments are on the PGA Tour.
Right.
I know where they're playing.
And they don't.
And I don't even like. I know I just talked about how much I love Brooks Koepka. I don't like him. I like Dustin Johnson. And unpopular opinion, I like Patrick Reed. I like Harold Varner too, but he just started on the Live Tour. I just don't. I'm just not
don't
interested.
Like a lot of the guys.
I'm just not interested.
Well, and one thing that I don't like, and I get it, that's kind of how they drew people over, but I don't think if you're trying to get people to watch the sport, it's going to make it more appealing. They don't play every weekend. They play...
Yeah, that's another thing, too.
They play 1 week, and then they take a whole month off.
So what, am I appointment viewing this league that I've never heard of and don't care about? Yeah. No. So no, Brian, I have not been paying attention to the Live storylines.
Well, me neither.
Give me another team other than the Highlanders?
The High Flyers.
High Flyers.
I can give you a team name.
Oh, I not to look behind the curtain, you're looking it up,
yeah,
so you didn't know. I just thought you would know.
I don't know the teams. I just know that Phil Mickelson is
You just know he's the High Flyers.
The Four Aces?
Oh, that's Patrick Reed's team.
Is it?
The only reason I know that is because he was wearing all Aces gear today. I thought it was a sponsorship.
Oh, so he was wearing Aces stuff too.
I thought it was a sponsorship.
The Crushers GC, that's Bryson DeChambeau's team.
Cool.
Fireballs? These are terrible
Who are the
names.
Fireballs?
That's Sergio Garcia's team. So.
Does he like to drink?
Maybe.
Or is he a fiery guy?
I think that's the logo is like a golf ball on fire, flying through the air.
Because he's
so
fiery.
He's hitting some fireballs,
He's fiery.
Right. Then you got the High Flyers, the Range Goats, Smash. That's Brooks Koepka's team.
You know what? Maybe I'll try out the Live Tour.
I don't believe you.
No, you shouldn't.
I don't think I'm going to try it out either. But Masters has been fun today. We'll give you another Masters update a little later in the 4 o'clock hour. But we got to get to a break. When we come back to start that 4 o'clock hour, Keith Smith from Spa Track will join us to talk about the NBA. That's next on Sports Time.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops and go farther and faster with the new G430 woods and irons from Ping. The Ping G430 woods introduce the next generation of speed with new face technology for longer and more accurate shots. The new Ping G430 irons are designed with Pure Flex technology for faster ball speed and more distance. Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, unmatched expertise, unmatched service.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Lads, up your life with Lads.
Lads, celebrating 60 years serving the Mid-South and delivering complete customer satisfaction. Lads has what you need to up your life. Gain more free time with the fastest mowers by Spartan. Don't buy a mower before seeing the Spartan. Come by Lads Showroom, Whitten and I-40, or visit them online at lads.net.
Lads, up your life with Lads. Lads, up your life.
Looking for a great home-cooked late lunch with meat and veggies? Make sure to stop into 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for baked and fried chicken, hamburger steaks, chicken dumplings, catfish, and more with yummy vegetables. Plus a great brunch on the weekends from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 10th Inning Grill has plenty of TVs for all your favorite sports. Visit them on Facebook to see the daily specials. 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill, voted best sports bar in DeSoto County, Gidwell Road, South Haven.
I know you're thinking about pools and patios right now. Don't deny it, they're on your mind. So it's a good thing that Family Leisure is having their pre-season patio and pool sale. It's like they're mind readers. You can buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. You want free layaway? Done. You want special financing? Done. You want to be ready to enjoy your backyard just as soon as spring hits? Family Leisure has you covered. Patio and pool season's not that far away. So now's the time to take advantage of this fantastic early bird pricing special. Now here comes the really special part. If you mention this commercial, you get half off delivery and installation. I'll let that sink in for a second. You heard me right, my friends. You mentioned this very commercial, and Family Leisure will give you half off delivery and installation. The preseason patio and pool sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you as Brett Norsworthy out for the remainder of the week. He'll be back on Tuesday, just taking a little bit of a vacation. But we're going to talk some NBA with Keith Smith from Spotrac. There's a lot going on in the world of the NBA with a lot could happen in these last couple of days before the playoffs. But Keith joins us now. Keith, thanks for joining us. Me and Jay had a conversation earlier in the show kind of talking about the Grizzlies and where they're sitting at right now in that 2 seed. How much do you think for the Grizzlies the 2 seed is a priority? Or do you think to them it doesn't really matter whether they're a 2 seed or a 3 seed? They just want to kind of get ready for the playoffs as a whole?
Yeah, I think the 2 seed it's good because then you're going to get one of those play-in teams. In the West, it's a little weird, right? Because we still have so much to be determined. So it's not quite like it is most years. I think in a normal year, you'd kind of rather be the 2 than the 3 just because your path's a little easier that way. You're going to have a shot at 2 series in a row where you have home court advantage potentially. And I think this year, one thing is to kind of lurk in that, that 4-5 matchup might be Phoenix and Golden State or Phoenix and the Clippers. And if you're the 1 seed, Denver, you're kind of in a spot there where it's a little like, boy, hey, I might rather have, the other side of the bracket. So at least, Memphis is in that position.
Is there a team in the Western Conference, Keith, that you see if they make the playoffs and get through the play-in, if it's one of those teams, that you have trouble seeing them a scenario where they win any series in the playoffs, or do you kind of give everybody in the West, I could see a scenario where they do some winning?
Yeah, there's no one I look at it and say, boy, they're not going to get through, and there's nobody that I also say, all right, that's it. They're going to win. You'd like to think, if you're the 1, 2, 3 seed, that you should win in the first round, right? That's what you've kind of established yourself as. But I think there's just so many tough teams, and it's been such a weird year in the Western Conference with very little separation from, basically until over the last couple of weeks, from 4 to about 12 in the conference, that I think this year just feels a little bit different where, any one of those teams gets through and I could say, I could see them probably winning, at least a round or so. I'm not buying into the whole idea, which people I think were mostly pushing because it was the Lakers, they're going to get in and they're going to win, multiple rounds and get to the finals and all this. And I'm a little like, winning 3 series in a row without home court advantage against some of the better teams in your conference, good luck with that one.
We've seen here locally with the Grizzlies the struggles all season of playing road games, and it's kind of been a situation throughout the West where teams are kind of struggling on the road. But for the Grizzlies, a 35-6 record at home, on the road 15-24. Does that road record concern you at all as they go into the playoffs? I know being a 2 or 3 seed, they'd have home court advantage, especially in that first round. But does that road record give you any concern?
It does a little bit. It's one of the things I look at as I start doing my playoff prep. I get a little bit deeper into what are the home road records and what are the home road splits. And it's not just that they've lost the games on the road. They haven't always played well on the road either. Now, you gotta dig a further layer deeper and see that there's some context of they've had some guys out in some of those road games, so that's been a little bit of a weird thing. Whether that was just intentional of, hey, we're going to make sure our guys, if they're resting one half of a back-to-back, they're going to be in at home and they're not going to be in on the road. We'll see. It's one thing just kind of to know, which I thought was interesting. I had a good friend of mine tell me the other day that he thinks the reason a lot of the West teams, and he had about over the last 10 years or so of data, outside of the teams that were dominant, when Golden State was winning 70 games a year and the like, that some of the West teams struggle a bit on the road because of how much travel they do. Where the Eastern Conference is, all the fights are within a couple hours of each other.
Right.
And in the West, you may still be going, 4.5, 5 hours. You might be kind of crisscrossing. And we don't think of it as much as, that's a West Coast trip because they're a Western Conference team, even though you're really kind of sitting right smack in the middle of the Central Time Zone.
Do you have the same trepidation, I guess I should say, when you look at the Warriors' road record, or do you have more confidence in them as a team because of their past success?
A little bit of both. I want to lean towards, all right, they're the Warriors. I feel like they'll be there, when they need to be, and I feel like I can trust in that. But there is a part of me that looks at that and says, oh, man, you can't be that bad on the road and just feel great about it. And especially they're going to be playing every series without home court advantage. Now, when you have Stephen Curry, who can win you almost a game or two all by himself, that kind of, evens the playing field out quite a bit. And kind of with them and Memphis, I think the from different sides of things, right? Because they're coming in without home court where Memphis will have it, where if you're Memphis, you drop one of the first 2 games at home, you start to maybe feel a little bit of pressure going into game 3 and 4 on the road, and you feel a little bit like, all right, we got to get one of these, and that doesn't always play great when you feel that pressure. And with the Warriors, I wonder if there's a little bit of pressure of, all right, we got to get, we know they got to get at least one on the road, but you start feeling like, all right, we better get one. And, if they drop one of their home games, they may start feeling like they're in a lot of trouble.
And the Warriors also changed a little makeup, maybe getting Andrew Wiggins back here. It seems like the Grizzlies also are without a big contributor, being Steven Adams, and it really doesn't seem clear to me that he will or will not be back at this point for the playoffs. Let's assume, though, he isn't back. Should Grizzlies fans and the fan base here, should they have expectations of being the second-best team in the Western Conference and eyeing that conference championship even without Steven Adams, or does that change things a bit?
Yeah, it definitely changes things. I think you still want to feel confident enough in that we can get through, but I think you kind of are understanding of, hey, it's going to be a little bit harder if we don't have Steven Adams. And it's, when they announced his initial timeline, I instantly went right to, all right, well, that's probably it for the regular season, but hopefully that means, he'll get back here for the playoffs. And I think the important thing to know, and definitely for Memphis fans, because last year was different, but it's just to remind everybody is, hey, if you're in the playoffs, if you're in that top 6, you effectively get a week off here, because you're not going to play until Saturday or Sunday of the next week after the regular season wraps up on the Sunday. So having that time off is good, because if you start hearing things of like, yeah, they need another week, well, okay, well, we still got another week. So we'll see how that comes together here while they're kind of re-ramping back up to get back at it and prepare for the playoff series. But it's definitely going to be harder for them without him, because I know we all know Brandon Clark's out for the year, but you add those two together, that starts to become an even more impactful absence and those kind of things. So it just makes things a lot more difficult.
You look at a team like the Dallas Mavericks, who made the addition of Kyrie Irving at the trade deadline, and a lot has happened since then, but I think most people would call what has happened over the last half of the season a disappointment. A lot of people pointing fingers to Luka and Kyrie, but do you think those are the guys to blame, or do you think it's a little more high up on who you should blame for the lack of success in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm not going to put it all on Luka and Kyrie. I'm going to give them a piece of the blame pie, but it's going to be a fairly small one, just because, hey, when you're the star player, it does still kind of come down to you, and they've had some close games where those two guys haven't come through at the very end, but for the most part, they've kind of done what they've always done and been, the guys that they are. I think the fault lies with, and this is not Kyrie Irving's fault in the trade, but within the Kyrie Irving trade, you traded away your best defender, Dorian Finney-Smith, and you didn't have a whole lot to work with behind him, and you weren't working with a ton of great defenders to begin with. And now what you've done is you've introduced, I love Luka, but we all spent a lot of time laughing at him, clowning James Harden, and making, low-light videos of his lack of defense and those kind of things. And Luka Doncic is right there with, how little defense he plays and how poorly he plays defense when he does. And Kyrie Irving's just not a good defender. He never really has been. So you kind of need almost like a prime Rudy Gobert back there to shut things down. And at this point, you don't have that. So this is a really, bad failure of roster building, more than I'm going to put blame on the two-star players. And it's something Dallas needs to get figured out this offseason. Otherwise, we're going to be right back in the same spot next year.
I'm so glad you brought up the roster construction aspect. I want to ask you about that in just a minute. But first, given that the Mavericks, there is still a chance they can make the playoffs at this point, if you were a Mavericks fan or even a Mavericks higher-ups, are you interested in playing for as long as possible with this current roster construction, or are you more interested in getting a higher draft pick by maybe missing the play-in entirely?
Yeah, that's the tough thing. I think publicly you got to say, we want the playoffs, right? We feel confident in these guys and we can make a run. And I think privately you're probably saying, it's not the worst thing if we miss out, because not only, even if you don't care about adding a rookie to a team that has Kyrie and Luka, because you're saying, hey, we got to win now, that's a trade asset, right, that you would have that you could put into a deal and you could move as part of a package as you start to rebuild the depth of your roster around those two guys. So I think privately, yeah, you definitely, I think, would be okay if you missed out on the postseason.
Well, not to spend too much time on the Mavericks either, because we're in Memphis, Tennessee, so
you
not,
love talking to
not a
Mavericks.
huge Mavericks
Yeah.
fan base here, but I do find their storyline to be so fascinating, especially with, like you said, how good Luke is, possibly missing the playoffs, the things Mark Cuban is saying publicly right now, and as you mentioned, roster construction. So last year, and going into this year, the biggest weakness of the team in my mind has been kind of interior defense and that rebounding aspect, and they look to solve it with Christian Wood, who, again, in my estimation, has not had a huge propensity for doing those things. You mentioned maybe getting something like Rudy Gobert. What do you think needs to be on the forefront of Mark Cuban and the Mavericks? What needs to be in the forefront of their offseason strategy going into this year? Is it getting a big through free agency or maybe a trade, getting someone through the draft? How do they fix these problems?
Yeah, and to be clear, I wasn't saying that they should get Gobert. They just need. That's who would fix this is
right.
Prime Rudy Gobert. Multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. Heck, throw a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year Dwight Howard or Ben Wallace back there, and then they probably fix it too. But yeah, I think it's a position where for the Mavericks, I think you got to do a couple things. Is one, you can't go with guys who are just defenders because you're not going to then have the balance you need offensively. And that's not, good either. And I know, you're going to run a ton of your offense through Kyrie and Luka, but what do those guys max out at? Let's say extreme top end, 60 points per game between the two of them. Well, that's the check. You need to be up well over 100. So you could have some guys that can make shots. So you're looking at 3-and-D guys who can hold their own on the perimeter, guys who can do a lot of different things. That's stuff that you need to build up this team. So I think you're looking at that, and then you absolutely got to get some rim protecting bigs in there, guys who can handle things when those two let the perimeter defense break down, because they're going to. That's going to just be how it goes. I don't expect either of them all of a sudden come in as very good defensive players. So that's something you need to have, because otherwise you're going to struggle to put a very good team on the court. You may be okay because you're going to score a ton of points, but your ceiling's just not going to be very high because you won't be able to stop anyone.
You just don't want to see another Christian Wood, JaVale McGee signing off season, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, the JaVale McGee signing was a disaster at the time. It made no sense why they did it when they did it, and it's made even less sense as the season has gone along. And I think they realized it, too, because they haven't even been playing him. And he got in at the end of that game the other night, and it was kind of like, yeah, well, what do you expect? Of course he missed a free throw there because the guy doesn't ever play. So, I mean, it's not, I don't know anybody who was expecting that to go great. So, yeah, it's definitely a weird situation out there in Dallas right now. They get a lot of stuff to get figured out.
Over in the Eastern Conference, a lot of that side when it comes to playoff seedings has been locked up, but a team like Brooklyn, who still is in play for that 6 or 7 seed, I think after KD and Kyrie were both traded, not a lot of people kept their eye on Brooklyn when it comes to the national audience, but they've won 4 of their last 5 of their last 7, but kind of when you look at some of those teams they've beaten in this stretch, Houston, Atlanta, Utah, Detroit, some of the weaker teams, what do you expect from this team in the playoffs? Is this a team that could maybe get out of a first round, or do you think it could be a quick playoff for the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, if they dip down into the play-in and they're having to play Boston or Milwaukee,
Yeah.
it's probably over in 4 games. If they stick and they're going against Philadelphia in the 3rd game, maybe you take a game or 2 off them and just kind of make them work a little bit in the playoffs. But yeah, for now, they have a whole bunch of guys that can play on that team, which is really fun, right? And that's part of what my analysis of the deal was when it was made. Is you've got a lot of different guys on this team that can play. You've got 10, 11, 12 legit NBA players, but their problem is none of those guys are star-level guys. I mean, Mikal Bridges is pretty good, but he's not, that guy necessarily, right? It's the guy that you're going to throw the ball to at the end of the game and say, there it is, let's get that win. So I think that's the, little bit of the, thing there with the Nets is that they've got a pretty good team, but you're just not winning too many, games in the playoffs without a star player to kind of get you over the hump.
Let me ask you a question in a very similar vein then, maybe a little bit of a different way. You have the Cavs and the Knicks in that 4-5 spot right now. How serious of contenders do you have them being? I've heard people say they think the Cavaliers with their defense can maybe make a conference finals, or do you really consider it to be the top 3 in the East and then kind of everybody else playing for that spot in the finals?
I'm going to go a little further. I think it's Boston and Milwaukee, and I don't think Philly's on that level either. Philadelphia they're good, but do something in the playoffs. I don't want to really hear any more about the 76ers until they actually win games in the postseason that are beyond the first round. So it's kind of one of those things where I'll believe in them when I see it. But I think to your question on Cleveland, they're going to be tough, and their thing is, if it's a close game at the end, you've got the guy in Donovan Mitchell that you can get the ball to, and he can kind of make plays, and he can do some stuff. So I think that's a good position to be in. I think you're a little bit more of your challenge with Cleveland is for a lot of these guys that are your key guys. So Garland, Mobley, Allen, even Isaac Okoro, guys like that. This is their first real run through this in the postseason, where it's going to be, all right, this is what it's all about. And every player will tell you that first playoff run, it's just so different than anything you experience in the regular season because you're seeing the same team 4 to 7 times over a 2-week period. And, the playoffs, I like to say, they're about adjustments, then they're about the adjustments to those adjustments. And that's something the Cavs are going to have to go through. So I think their biggest thing, though, running into them is they're going to play Milwaukee in the second round, and I just don't think they're on that level. Yeah. So, nice season for them, good year, future is super bright. I just don't know that I'm ready to, really kind of look at them as a real contender or anything like that.
I know we were just talking about Brooklyn, and you were talking about if they had to come out of the play-in games and play a team like Milwaukee or Boston, it would be pretty short-lived. And I think that kind of shows the difference between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. I mean, you've got a couple of teams in the play-in from the Western Conference that could make some noise in a game either against, the Grizzlies or maybe if Sacramento got the 2-seed or even the Nuggets. But in the Eastern Conference, it looks like Milwaukee and Boston, real powerhouses. Is there a team from that play-in group in the East that could come out and make noise?
If it's anybody, it's Miami, and that's more just trusting in the heat of it all than it is, Eric Spoelstra, who for my money is the best coach in the league. Then, you've got Jimmy Butler, you've got Kyle Lowry, you've got Bam Adebayo, you've got a bunch of guys who've been there, done that. And I think if you're Boston, Milwaukee, or even Philadelphia, because they could still get to the 6th seed, you'd be pretty happy if they were in the play-in and got knocked out, just because I think you feel confident, hey, we'll beat those guys. Because one thing with this Miami team in particular, their offense is terrible. They cannot score points on any kind of regular basis. So I think what you're really looking at, if you're those top seeds, is all right, we're going to beat them. But you're also in the back of your mind, you're like, we're going to have to work to do it. It's not going to be a walkover series against a completely overmatched opponent because Spoelstra's going to have something you've never seen before defensively, some gimmick defense that's going to be really effective for a little bit, and you're going to have to figure it out on the fly and those kind of things. So I think we're in a spot where, we'll see kind of how that comes together. But, Atlanta, Chicago, Toronto, those teams, I'm out on all of them. I just don't think they're very good.
Yeah.
Keith Smith here with us from Spot Track. I want to ask you, Keith, I know we're a little short on time here. I should have asked you this earlier, but now that we're kind of wrapping up the season here, getting down the stretch of it, only a couple games left for each team, I want to ask you about what your opinion on these awards are. And I want to start with one that's probably close to Grizzlies fans' heart because Jaren Jackson contends for it. Who would be your Defensive Player of the Year this season?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to saying it is Jaren Jackson Jr. because he's just been so dominant and impactful on one of the best defenses in the league. To me, that's really close. And I know there's some that are going to knock him for the games he's missed, but I think for the most part, we're seeing, that one is one where I'm a little more willing to give a little bit because it's not like he's played in 20 games. It's not like, maybe I'm aging myself here, but when Rafael Palmeiro won a Gold Glove playing like 6 games or something at first base, because it was completely reputation. So, yeah, I think he has a good chance to win. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I would have Joel Embiid on that list, too, because he's been really, really good this season as well.
Who would be your in the running for sixth man of the year if you kind of decided that one?
Yeah, I think it's between two guys. I think it's between Malcolm Brogdon and Emmanuel Quickley of the New York Knicks. And for me, it's Malcolm Brogdon, and people can call that a homer pick, but he hasn't started a game all year, so it's true to what the award is, which is the sixth man. It's the best player that comes off of the bench, where Emmanuel Quickley's very best games have come in games that he started. That's great for him and for the Knicks, but that's not necessarily great for the award. And everybody says, well, their stats are really close. Well, they are, but Brogdon's got them beat, almost all of them. So for me, it's Malcolm Brogdon, and I think that's going to be an honor that he should win this year.
Then what about most improved? It seems like the top two there would be maybe Lauri Markkanen and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Who do you like for most improved?
Yeah, I think this might end up being one where it's probably going to go to Lauri Markkanen, just because I think it feels a little bit more out of nowhere, which is often a criteria with that award. Is with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he was pretty good last year, and I think some people are like, well, you could kind of see this coming. And that's not to say he hasn't improved a lot, because he has. But with Markkanen, he was kind of a guy who was like, he's a nice player, and he'll be okay. But this year, he's gone absolutely bonkers and become one of the better forwards in the league. So I think it's going to end up being him.
And then last but not least, I'll skip rookie. It seems like Paolo Banchero has had that one start to finish through the season. So I'll go to the big one that everyone's interested in, the MVP, kind of coming down to Embiid, Jokic, and Antetokounmpo again. Who do you like for the MVP?
I think it's going to be Joel Embiid. I think when you saw his game the other night against the Celtics, the only game on national TV that night, he absolutely dominated with 52 points. I think he had like 12 or 13 rebounds. He had a couple blocks, 6 assists or something like that. He was absolutely incredible. And I think that was probably the kind of last thing that voters needed was, hey, can he beat a good team almost by himself? And guess what? He did it. He scored over half his team's points in the game, and absolutely, just a monster game from him. So I think, that's now what's left in voters' minds. But I think if you're Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, we know with Giannis, he doesn't care about the MVP award anymore. His personal arc and the Bucks arc is all about winning, titles. And I think if you're the Denver Nuggets, hey, let's win some playoff games. Let's maybe get through and push through to the finals. We don't necessarily care about the MVP, as much anymore if you got them to talk about it, completely open and honest. And I think, for Embiid, it's probably time, for him to get that, individual recognition and honor.
What should be a fun sprint to the finish line of the regular season Sunday, the final day of games. But Keith, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Keith.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Keith. It's Keith Smith from Spotrac. We have him on every week to talk the NBA. And his Twitter side, I know we've talked about, or Twitter page, I should say. I know we talk about it a lot. He posts a bunch of really good stuff daily about different things going on in and around the world of the NBA.
Do you think people objected to the percentage of Mavericks questions versus Grizzlies questions that we asked? I could have gone more. I had more Mavericks questions.
Well, here's the thing, Jay. Here's how I view it. Is, we have DeMichael on every week.
We also spent the first 30 minutes of first hour of the show talking Grizzlies.
We talked a lot of time about the Grizzlies to start the show. We have Rob Fisher on a lot to talk Grizzlies. We've got other guests to talk Grizzlies. This is our national NBA guest. We can talk just NBA with
I could have kept going on the Mavs.
You could have spent the whole segment talking about the NBA.
Basically the same team coming back. If they make a play in, can they go back to the Western Conference Finals?
We didn't even ask him about the whole comments about Jalen Brunson.
No, I alluded to them, though, but no, we didn't ask him head on
I was gonna go back and ask him about that, and then wanting to sign Kyrie, but I was like, we've asked a lot about
you could ask him about the NBA ruling that the Mavericks, they're not going to do anything about the out of bounds play against the Warriors. The protest. That's right.
Ridiculous.
Has a protest ever resulted in a change?
That's a great question.
I don't think it has.
I don't think it has either. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and on the other side, we'll give you a Masters update. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Stay Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Let's say you need a new car, so you go to a dealer, right? Wrong. You need to go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales. Why? Because why limit yourself to just one kind of car when you can choose from all kinds of cars, SUVs, and trucks? All different years, all different makes, all different models. Really good prices, too. Now, everyone says that about the money, but Mount Moriah Auto Sales proves it. They work hard to get you the deal you want, even financing. Plus, they have a huge full-service department to help you take care of your car. So many choices at Mount Moriah Auto Sales. They're almost unlimited, with new vehicles coming in every day. Now, these are really good cars and trucks and SUVs that you'll want to drive. And yes, low miles too. It's so easy. Just go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales, tell them what you want, but keep your eyes open because you might just find the car of your dreams. Mount Moriah Auto Sales makes it all possible. Go to MountMoriahAutoSales.com. Mount Moriah Auto Sales, right on the corner, right on the price, right on Mount Moriah.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
The Showboats are back in Memphis. We can't wait to have you for the USFL. Let's go. Ticket prices start at just $10 for their long-awaited homecoming season. All the way to the house. April 15th starts a new era of pro football at the Liberty Bowl when the Showboats seek to reclaim their USFL legacy. Bring the whole family and don't miss the Showboats' historic return. It's a touchdown! Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, April 8th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We will be taking applications, performing basic testing, and interviewing candidates on site. Free parking located at Poplar Avenue and Front Street. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 in relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as the Masters rolling right along in every hour. Here at Sports 56, we're going to give you a Masters update today and tomorrow through all the action. Those Masters updates brought to you by Courage Through Cancer. Courage Through Cancer is hosting the Courage 5K on Saturday, May 20th at Shelby Farms Park, benefiting Baptist Cancer Center. Go to www.ctcmemphis.org to sign up now. Again, that's www.ctcmemphis.org to sign up for the Courage 5K on May 20th at Shelby Farms Park. Well, we've got a new addition up top of the leaderboard. Brooks Koepka now at 7 under and tied for first place with John Rahm.
You got to say in the clubhouse.
In the clubhouse.
Very important you say in the clubhouse when you say the score.
Let me start over again.
Okay.
There's a new addition to the top of the leaderboard. Brooks Koepka in the clubhouse.
Well done.
7 under par. Tied for first place with Victor Hovland and John Rahm, who are also in the clubhouse.
Well done, well done.
All shooting 65s on the day. Was that good?
Exactly right.
Thank you. Below them at 5 under, Cam Young. shooting a 5 under today. We talked a little bit about him earlier. Xander Schauffele, Gary Woodland, and Jordan Spieth all at 4 under. So a lot going on at the Masters as today starting to kind of wrap up for most of the golfers. A lot starting to make the turn and get to the final 9 holes. But in other news, a lot of NFL news coming out today.
Well, the NFL news, it never stops. Right?
It never stops. The offseason just keeps going. This isn't really news, but I did see it, and I thought it was interesting. I wanted to get your opinion on it because you're a Titans fan.
Can you, before you get into it, I'm sorry to interrupt you again to break your train of thought. You said it's not really news?
This isn't really news.
So how exactly would you, what criteria does it fall under before you get to it?
A mock draft.
Oh, okay, all right. So not news. It's reporting. All right, go ahead.
I want to get your thought on it. In the latest NFL mock draft from CBS Sports, they have the Titans trading up to number 3 in drafting a quarterback in Will Levis. What are your thoughts on your Titans getting Will Levis?
Who put this mock draft out there?
Somebody from CBS Sports. I didn't grab his name. His or her name.
Sounds like the dumbest possible thing I've ever heard in my life. It's ridiculous.
The Titans getting a quarterback is very popular.
Well, that's a legitimate conversation.
Right.
What
Just
do they do
Will
about
Levis.
quarterback? Well, not even. I don't even think it's Will Levis, even though I hate Will Levis. Someone's going to draft Will Levis.
Sure.
I think trading up is ridiculous, quite frankly, because you still have Ryan Tannehill, presumably, for right now.
Yeah.
You don't need someone to step in right away. You just need to make sure you have somebody in case he gets hurt, which he's shown propensity to do in the past, so you don't have to play Malik Willis anymore. And I think one thing...
So we're already completely out on Malik Willis.
I was out on him before he was drafted.
Wow.
One thing I think is legitimate that people are talking about is who to take in the second round.
Yeah.
One of those being Hendon Hooker. You've also heard people talk about Hendon Hooker maybe climbing
and getting
to
in
be
the
a
first.
late first
Yeah.
round. But I think if you're looking at a second-round draft pick, I think Hendon Hooker's a good one.
I think that's a really good one. Kind of an older guy, 24.
I don't know a lot of quarterbacks, though. So basically, I'm hamstrung by the SEC quarterbacks only.
Well, that's seems to be all that's up at the top.
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud.
That's the only other one I know.
This mock draft has the first 4 picks in the NFL draft all being quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud going first to the Panthers. Bryce Young going to the Texans at number 2. Will Levis going third to the Titans. Anthony Richardson going number 4 to the Colts.
This is going to sound crazy. If the Texans draft, who'd you say it to? Bryce Young, buy low on Davis Mills in the same way you bought low on Ryan Tannehill. Now, very different scenario, right? The Texans were bad, had terrible players at every position, and threw rookie Davis Mills out there to play quarterback. But Ryan Tannehill went through injury-riddled seasons in Miami. That's
true.
Which is why they could buy low on him. But I think the same idea applies. When Ryan Tannehill got to Nashville, he was a backup quarterback behind Mariota.
Right.
Mariota goes down like he had done all year. Ryan Tannehill never gives the job up again. I think you could see the same thing happen if you go get Davis Mills.
Interesting. Mean if you go get Bryce Young, that's what would happen to Davis Mills?
That's what I would go get Davis Mills if I was the Titans.
I see what you're saying. I was confused.
I would get Davis Mills and have him play the same role that Tannehill did when he first got to town.
Because you really like Davis Mills. You're very high on Davis Mills.
He's a good player.
He's still really young. I mean, young guy.
I've heard a lot. I don't know anything about evaluating quarterbacks, but I listen to basically 2 people, and one of them I listen to a lot. Chris Sims. I'll give him credit.
Yep.
And he really likes Davis Mills in terms of his physique and the way he throws the ball. And I'll pretty much go ahead and agree with that guy. He seems to know how to evaluate quarterbacks. I agree. I also like Davis Mills when I've seen him play.
I like it. So that's certainly an option for the Titans.
Mock draft talk.
Mock draft talk. It's setting the world on fire. And some other NFL news, a guy that maybe you could go out and get, kind of play that role. Cam Newton has said has listed 9 quarterbacks or 9 teams that he would be willing to join.
Wow, choose your own adventure.
Isn't that crazy?
Choose your own adventure, Cam Newton.
I mean, this is a guy that's out of the league.
I would choose all 32.
Yeah, if I'm Cam Newton and I want to get back like he says he does to play in the NFL, I wouldn't be limiting my spots.
I think you should have a few more pro days. I think maybe Florida Pro Day. He used to go to school there.
He did.
Does the community college he went to, did they have a pro
I'm
day?
Sure.
I'm sure they might have a pro day.
Maybe.
Auburn's also obviously already had their pro day. You could hold your own pro day, right? Like, he has enough money, he could just get a bunch of people to go out to
go to a local high school, call the scouts.
Cam Newton pro day.
That's right.
And then maybe you could cash in on that for other players that maybe didn't have a good pro day at their school and didn't have a good combine, they could go to the Cam Newton Pro Day.
Ooh, I see.
And so you could cash in on this in future after your playing career is long gone.
He already has a 7-on-7 program.
What's that called? Cam Newton 7-on-7?
I don't know. He has like a team. I don't know what the team's called.
Superman 7-on-7?
He's cashing in on that, so this could just be another venture for him.
Super 7?
I don't know. Maybe. You could look it up. I have no idea.
Maybe it has a name like a live golf team name.
Maybe the High Flyers. The high Cam Newton.
The Supermen.
Supermen. But the 9 teams he says he'd be willing to play for: the Browns, the Ravens, and then in quotes it says, or whichever team Lamar Jackson ends up with. The Bears, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Eagles.
I love that idea, actually.
The Jets, again on the side, or whichever team Aaron Rodgers ends up with. The Bills or the Commanders.
What's Huntley's first name, the backup quarterback for the Ravens?
Brett Huntley, right?
Brett Huntley, is that right?
I think so. There's multiple Huntleys.
Brett Huntley.
So I could be wrong.
I think you're right. And he basically, because the Ravens put together a scheme specific for Lamar Jackson, when Huntley comes in, they basically played the same way.
Mm-hmm.
They had them run the same offense. It's the same scheme. We don't have to change up anything for the backup quarterback. I love where Cam Newton's head's at. I'm going to go play behind Lamar Jackson. The scheme is going to be set up for him, and if for some, God forbid, he goes down, I'm going to jump in and run the same system. I love it.
So you were completely against it at first when I said he's limited down to 9 teams. Now you're all in. Now that it's
he's got the right idea.
Wherever
he knows more than I gave him credit for it. No, he's right on it.
Veteran.
And he knows the schemes. He knows what doesn't work now. He knows he can't just go play quarterback for Bill Belichick.
Right.
He has to have a scheme that's specific.
Patriots not on this list.
In his old age, his body isn't as dominant as it used to be. His shoulder doesn't even work anymore the way it used to.
Right.
I need a scheme that's specific for someone like me. Boom. Back up to Lamar Jackson. I can't be Lamar Jackson. I can be close.
I can be his backup.
And that's why I can be his backup.
And then you won't have all the expectations because
love where his head's at.
You're the backup to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson goes back down. People are like, wow, thankfully we have Lamar Jackson. We have Cam Newton.
And it shows he's accepting of that role, too. He's
backup.
willing to play that role.
Because that wasn't the case when he tried to go back to New England.
Or Carolina.
Well, yeah, but New England was kind of after the whole...
Who will forget? I mean, one of the great moments, NFL films will document forever, we'll see it for generations to come, is Cam Newton scores a meaningless touchdown in like week 5 of an NFL season for the Carolina Panthers, rips his helmet off and screams, "I'm back."
I'm back.
And he was.
Yeah.
For that moment.
For that one moment.
I don't think he even finished the season.
He also scored the touchdown and started dancing in the opposing player's face.
Speaking of quarterbacks that used to play for the Panthers, I heard somebody say the other day, Sam Darnold's got some good football in him.
Really?
Your thoughts?
I like Sam Darnold.
Do you?
I've been high on Sam Darnold for a while. I love Sam Darnold.
Interesting.
You know why?
Why?
I had a Madden franchise with him as a quarterback.
And he was your guy.
He won MVP for me.
Well, if there's any coach that can turn a quarterback into somebody good, it would be Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. So he's in a good spot right now for that to take place.
See what happened last year with the 49ers.
That's right. They Mr. Irrelevant.
Exactly.
Brock Purdy.
Maybe it could happen again. That is a good point.
Former Iowa State Cyclone.
That's right.
One more thing. We have to take a break here in a minute.
Please.
One more thing here. I wanted to circle back to what we were talking about earlier. This is a transition.
Please.
To the Grizzlies talk.
Okay.
One thing we were talking about earlier is the idea of having the 2-seed. You asked Keith this. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. How much does that 2-seed matter? We got a great text here.
He kind of just said maybe.
Yeah, so sit on the fence.
Yeah.
I don't like fence sitting from Keith. I'll talk to him about that. Coming up here, no, he does a great job.
He does.
We have a text here. It says, having the 2-seed does matter, especially for the Grizzlies. They have the best let me try that again.
Start over.
We have a text here. It's about the Grizzlies. The text reads, having the 2-seed does matter, especially for the Grizzlies. They have the best home court record in the NBA. If they get through round 1, then they would have home court. Well, that literally is right.
It's a good point.
It is the definition of the seed, I suppose. But I would say that doesn't matter because the Grizzlies had home court in the second round last year too, didn't they?
That's true.
And they lost to the team that won the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So while it does matter theoretically, we always talk about how home court matters, pretty much unless there's a 7-game series, which there's a lot of once you get past the first round, home court really doesn't matter in that regard, at least to me. And one thing Keith spoke to is how road games in the Western Conference are kind of important in a different capacity because of how much travel is involved. I think that makes a good point. It might be overstated a little bit. Point is all of that dies down when you get to the playoffs, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
Matchups are far more important than 2 seeds, and it's certainly when you get to the 2 seed versus the 3 seed, it matters even less to me.
Well, and I know we kind of talked about this when we had the original conversation earlier about how the Grizzlies as a team are not in the locker room having discussions about we got to lock up this 2 seed. And
yeah, we've been talking about it ad nauseum for weeks.
And
it's like it's the first thing we talk about in every show.
Every show.
And not just here. It's
everywhere. It's all across Memphis.
I would say at your local watering hole, when you're talking about Grizzlies fans, if they're talking about every game the same way we're talking about it every day, they're probably having the same conversations. And like I said, sports media all across the city.
Well, and I'll point back to that story from DeMichael Cole because it was a really, really good one. But he kind of talked about how last year when you had the home court advantage, that team was riddled with injuries. Guys were banged up. People were injured. I forgot who exactly in that series was out. Somebody was out in that series against Golden State and didn't play. But that
Ja was banged up is what people point to.
Ja was banged up, yes. And then I think we just learned that somebody else had an injury that they played through in that series. But that's the playoffs for you. But the Grizzlies have kind of actively gone about late in the season this year trying to keep everyone healthy for that reason so they're not banged up in the playoffs. And I think that even more points to the idea of they don't really care about locking up the 2 seed. They care about being as healthy as possible for those matchups when it comes to the playoffs.
There's only one road through the best teams. It's through them.
That's right.
You're not going to avoid them. You got to have to play the best teams no matter what. That's the way it's working itself out.
Yep.
Was that profound or obvious?
No, that was very profound. I like that.
One or the other. It's a fine line between profound and obvious.
One or the other. On the other side, it'll be time for big number of the day.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with John Vergus from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Vergos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Try new Syntec high-mileage full synthetic motor oil to help high-mileage engines run better for longer. Only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
So my big number today comes...
You know, you used to ask who wants to go first. And now you just go first.
Let me start over.
It just seems very rude now.
Well,
I mean,
every time I
used
went,
to be
every time I offered, nobody ever took up to it. So I just figured nobody wanted to go first.
You
so
know,
I'd go first.
even if we always say, Bryant, you go first, it's just polite to ask, you know?
All right. Can I start over? We've done a lot of starting over
Please,
today.
go ahead. Go again. Rewind. You want me to play the big number sound again?
Please.
Okay, I'll play the big number sound again.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
You know, Jay, I was thinking today, do you want to go first today?
Why are you asking? Just go first. Like, no one wants to hear you ask who's going first.
Are you sure?
You should just go first after the sound plays.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I just want to leave it out there for a second. Maybe think about it.
I've got a big number today, Bryant.
Please, share.
Josiah Gray. My big number today is 6.
Okay.
We're talking about Josiah Gray's on the mound today for the Nationals. This is a off-the-cuff big number for me.
Wow.
He's through 6 innings now he's pitched. 8 hits, 6 strikeouts. Basically goes to show that unless Josiah Gray strikes you out, he's not getting it out. The guy's stuff is filthy. Can't locate anything.
No.
So it's either a walk. He only has 1 walk today, though. So it's only either a strikeout or a hit. But he does not get ground ball outs or fly ball outs, anything like that.
That's too bad. That's also 1 earned run today for him. Colorado's down 1, or Colorado's up 1-0. Washington's down.
Good day, though, for him, because that's really as good as it gets for him.
That's as good as it gets. That's really as good as it gets for really any pitcher for the Nationals.
Because they stink.
They're terrible. My big number of the day today comes courtesy of Andrew Lopez and ESPN Stats and Info. Entering yesterday, my big number of the day is 17,930.
Want me to play the sounder again?
No. 17,930. That comes courtesy of Andrew Lopez and ESPN Stats and Info. Entering yesterday, teams were 17,930 and 0 when leading by 6 points or more inside the final 5 seconds of a game in the fourth quarter or overtime over the last 20 seasons. Memphis almost made it 17,930 and 1.
But
didn't.
They didn't.
So now it's 17,931.
So very theoretical big number for you.
Well, no, I just think that's interesting, though, that
Never lost.
It's happened 17,930 times.
And never the other way.
Never the other
But
way.
it almost did last night.
But it could have changed last night.
But it didn't.
Just like that, it could have changed.
Very theoretical big number
Very
for
profound.
you. No Brett today, so I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity,
Please.
and I'm going to throw two more big numbers at you.
For those who don't listen every single day to our big numbers segment, usually
Can't
come
imagine.
in with 6 or 7 big numbers, and you have to limit them down. So please,
Only
share
3
another
today.
One. Only 3.
This second big number I have is 5. Through 5 games this year, the Rays have won all 5 by 4 runs or more. The only other team in MLB history with a streak that long to begin a season, the St. Louis Maroons, who did it in 13 straight games in 1884.
Wow.
So, I mean, historic company the Rays are making right here. Winning their first games by 4 or more runs. Only the St. Louis Maroons in 1884 have done that.
Wow. And what team was that that's doing it right now?
The Rays.
This team, the Rays. Gotcha.
No, the Maroons used to do it, so
No,
don't get confused. The Maroons aren't doing it now.
Get a little confused.
They did it in the 1800s.
Yeah.
The old 19th century. I mean, my favorite century of baseball, the 1900s, I think. The 19th century.
I thought, the 19th century.
I said the 1900s.
You
19th
did.
century.
And you have a third big number?
Yeah, Brian, I have a third big number.
Please, share away.
8.
Okay.
Is this big number. This courtesy of OptaStats. After tonight's loss, which tonight being yesterday.
Okay.
After yesterday's loss, I was just reading verbatim. Sometimes I'm like Ron Burgundy in that way. After yesterday's loss, LeBron James has now lost 8 straight games to the Clippers, including the postseason. That is James's longest losing streak against any opponent in his career, breaking a tie with 2 separate 7-game losing streaks to the Warriors over his career. Wow. So really the Clippers own him. They own L.A.
LA's a Clipper city.
However, the Lakers are off a back-to-back. They went to overtime the night before. LeBron played 40 minutes in that game.
And LeBron just coming back from that injury, so
scheduled loss.
Yeah, I would agree.
But you want to win these games if you're in the play-in spot right there. But the Clippers and Clippers and Lakers were tied, I believe, in terms of record. Obviously, there's no ties in the NBA because they have all these umpteen tiebreak rules. But they were tied in terms of record going into yesterday. So, pretty meaningful loss yesterday, even though it would be, I would consider, a scheduled loss.
Well, and the Lakers, we talk about how close everything is together. It seems like just 2 or 3 weeks ago they were outside of the play-in, now at the very top of the play-in. So just like that, things can change.
Things can change in a blink of an eye. Did you watch the Grizzlies game yesterday?
I watched the Grizzlies game, yeah.
Did you watch any other NBA games? Or are you in baseball mood yesterday?
Well, there wasn't much baseball last night, so
it was all day games yesterday.
I watched the second half of the Sacramento game.
Oh, the King, because you had to see.
Well, let me say this. I watched the end of the Sacramento game, and I watched the Lakers game. I watched the end of the Lakers game.
The Lake Show.
A lot of times, after about 9:30 or so, I can't watch any basketball games because I get in bed, can't see the TV from my bed.
Oh, because you don't have your glasses on.
No, because I didn't have glasses.
Well, it's an important hat tip.
Now that I have glasses, I can lay in bed and watch a game on television.
Hat tip to glasses, then.
So, yeah.
The only reason I asked that is because I watched the Knicks play last night. We asked, and we were talking so much about the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, though. Those Knicks are scary.
Knicks are good. What are they?
Big win last night against the Pacers.
Are they 5th right now? 5th or 6th?
No, they're 4th.
I got it right here.
They're
Are
4th.
they really?
No, they're 5th. You're right.
Fifth.
They're 5th.
Cleveland's one
4th.
spot ahead of them.
You're right. Yeah, so they're 5th, but Quentin Grimes had a nasty dunk last night. Had a really big game.
I know a lot of people talk about the Bucks, Celtics, and 76ers, but
I like what Keith said. Bucks, Celtics, and everybody else.
Yeah. But I like what Cleveland has done.
No, they're good
this year.
A lot of people think they can make the conference finals just based on defense alone. They can steal a series and knock somebody out.
They might be.
They're going to give everybody a hard series no matter who they play.
Yep.
But it's pretty much
sure will.
Bucks, Celtics, and everybody else.
Kind of seems that way. But as the weekend approaches, I know you're looking for a night out, so let me point you into the direction of 117 Prime. Located at 117 Union Avenue, opening 4 p.m. daily, 117 Prime offers perfectly cooked steaks, cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. And the meat, it's regionally sourced for the best taste, so you don't have to worry about it traveling cross-country like some of the other steakhouses. Pair your steak with one of the wines from their award-winning wine menu, or switch it up with their wine of the month. If you're not a fan of beef, no problem. 117 Prime also offers outstanding seafood like oysters, shrimp, and lobster. Also, get down there right now to enjoy their happy hour from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesdays through Saturday for the best happy hour that downtown Memphis has to offer. To make reservations, head over to 117prime.com or call 901-433-9851. That's 901-433-9851 to make reservations for 117 Prime. That'll do it for hour number 2. When we come back to start our third and final hour, we'll talk some baseball. That's next on Sports Time.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on eating out, fuel costs, and replacing expensive grills that cannot stand up to the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
Hi, golfing friends. The 64th year anniversary membership special at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is here. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee plus tax, get a 2-year anniversary membership at Meadowbrook and enjoy unlimited golf from Tuesday through Sunday. You must call Meadowbrook Country Club today before this special offer is over. Get your $89 membership today. Just go to golfwestmemphisar.com or call 870-394-4186.
Have you ever wondered what's inside your air ducts? Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. If you are one of many who suffers from bad allergies, especially in the Mid-South, and would like to improve the indoor air quality of your home, then Choate's Air Duct Cleaning could be a solution for you and your family. Air duct cleaning has been proven to help people with allergies and other respiratory issues by removing buildup of debris from your home's air supply. Air duct cleaning will also help eliminate dust from building up in your house. Therefore, you don't have to dust as much either. And air duct cleaning is also shown to help improve the performance of your air conditioning and heating system. Choates is the name you can trust for all your indoor air quality needs. So call Choates today at 755-4797 or visit our website at choateshvac.com to schedule a free video inspection to help you breathe a little easier. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Back in with Sports Time, Bryant Dacus and Jay Morgan Harder with you, and a lot of baseball going on as the start of the MLB season opened up last week, but not a lot of games today. Cardinals not in action tonight, but the Redbirds are, and Gordon Graceffo going to go in the first game. Matthew Liberatore, who's the sixth starter for the Cardinals, set to go in the second game, so maybe he can...
according to a newsletter from a beat writer in St. Louis.
That's right. So maybe he could have another game like his first one, 7 strikeouts, and be with the big league team before you know it.
I think that was supposed to make us feel optimistic about Matt Liberatore, and unfortunately it's not the
well, I don't know.
seal of approval that maybe he thought it was.
I tried to find what kind of the whole context after we talked about it yesterday when you said
after
that.
I had poo-pooed it.
Yeah, which it doesn't matter to me. I love Matthew Liberatore. It's great news to me.
You are not deterred at all by all of his outings last year.
Right.
His entire workload at the major league level doesn't deter you whatsoever.
Not at all. Young
Eternally
guy.
optimistic about this kid.
That's right. But I don't know if it was more, let's be optimistic about Matthew Liberatore, or I understand that the pitching rotation is bad, and I think your only other option is Matthew Liberatore. I think that's kind of more.
Is it a good one?
A good what?
Option.
No.
I don't think so either. So you can't have it both ways. You can't be optimistic.
He's a young guy. He needs time.
So it's not a good option now. But give me a year or two.
Give me a year or two.
Give me a year or two.
Then it'll be a good option. That's what everyone says about Nolan Gorman, you know? Right now, maybe not.
Not a good option.
At the plate, he's been fantastic.
But why don't you have the same trepidation about Jordan Walker? That's my fascination with prospect talk. You know what I mean?
See, I can never talk much about Jordan Walker because I hadn't seen much of him.
I'll tell you, he's
coming in
6'8", and he plays right field.
He's huge.
He's giant. So
makes a couple of mistakes in right field.
I don't care.
Every game.
He's 6'8".
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They've had worse outfielders that start every day than him.
Care to seems like you're speaking about someone
Marcelo
in particular.
Zuna.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Lars.
No, Lars is a good fielder, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very good fielder.
Yeah. I just think if he didn't have a name like Lars Newbar, he'd be a career AAA player.
Yeah.
If his name was like Mike Smith or what's another Joe Smith.
There you go.
I couldn't think of another last name. I'm just on Smith, I guess. Then he would just be a career minor leaguer in that way.
Right.
But I always think prospect talk is fascinating because everybody is always so excited about all the prospects, and no one ever learns that, like, the guys that are good, like Jordan Walker,
they don't go to AAA.
They're there immediately. Yeah. Whereas there's guys that like go
Julio Rodriguez,
Alex Reyes goes through a ton of injury. Liberatore got to get to sprinkle. He's not there. No, he's still top pitching prospect. Everybody just trust me. He's a top pitching prospect.
He's still the top pitching prospect
for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't think he is anymore.
Who else would it be?
Maybe Graceffo.
Really?
They're really high on Graceffo.
They love Graceffo.
And he's going in the first game. That's, I think, first pitch about right now.
Graceffo, I don't know where I'm pulling this from. He went to Villanova, right? Pretty sure he's a Villanova pitcher.
Maybe.
Isn't that crazy? I don't
know much about Villanova's baseball
program.
I'm sorry.
The Big East.
Tink Hintz is now the top pitching prospect.
Oh, another prospect that you're high on. Although, much like my approach to pretty much all 30 teams in the NBA, is you also love all the prospects and don't want to trade any of them.
He was a former Villanova Wildcat.
Graceffo?
Yeah.
He went to Villanova.
How about that?
I don't know how I knew it.
I don't either. I do like a lot of the prospects.
You love all the prospects.
It's almost the exact same thing as recruiting for like college basketball and college
that's
football.
Exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Potential.
Everyone's so high. I mean, you can just sell these guys as they're the next great thing.
That's right.
And even more.
And that's as optimistic as you'll ever be.
Exactly.
Because being the top pick in the draft is a very meaningful accomplishment. And a lot of those guys pan out. but it's as promising as you'll ever be. Like, let's say like you're the 10th guy and maybe you don't pan out.
Yeah.
That being the 10th pick is the highlight at that point.
It's a top 10
because
guy,
that's
man.
as close to being a top 10 player in the league as you'll ever be as being the 10th pick, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't always pan out that way.
It does
Sometimes
not.
it does, though.
Yeah. So we talked yesterday about the whole kind of controversy around Tyler O'Neill, and he was loafing a little bit, got called out by
Allegedly.
Marmol.
Depending on who you ask.
Well, I've got some stats here that I think are very interesting.
Oh, his speed around third base on that play.
You like it?
Is that what it is?
It literally is.
How about that?
So John Denton, who is the MLB.com beat writer for the St. Louis
A
Cardinals.
big wig in metrics rounding third base.
Right. These are the StatCast metrics for the play in question.
Excellent.
For the
Do you have a baseline that we can compare it to?
Well, let me just run through it, and then
Okay.
save your questions to the end.
All right.
O'Neill had a 13-foot primary lead and a 15.9-foot secondary lead.
Hang on.
You writing these down?
I'm going to write this down.
Okay, 13.
All right, start again.
13. Okay. O'Neill had a 13-foot primary lead and a 15.9-foot secondary lead. Brendan Donovan singled right field, left the bat at 99.5 miles per hour. I feel like I'm doing a high school math problem right now. O'Neill hit a top speed of 28 feet per second. Sub 30 feet per second is considered elite in MLB. O'Neill went from second to third in 3.67 seconds and from second to home in 7.31 seconds. Ronald Acuña's throw from right field to easily retire O'Neill at home hit 92.7 miles per hour. Your answer?
What an out.
Was he loafing?
That was well. My answer is that it resulted in an out.
In an out.
That would be my answer.
But was he loafing?
Well, again, these numbers mean nothing by themselves. You need a baseline to compare it to.
I don't have a baseline to compare him to.
That would have been helpful.
Well,
you know what I mean? I mean, how am I supposed to deduce 28 feet per second? No, he wasn't loafing.
Sub 30 is elite. That's your baseline.
It has to be more than 30, right? Sub 30, 28 feet per second is slower
you're
than
right.
30.
I'm sorry. Yes, over 30 feet per second would be elite.
Because he was sub 30.
That's right. I'm sorry. You're right.
100-mile-an-hour exit velo, I do have a baseline for it. That is a hard hit ball.
That's a hard hit ball.
Right to the right fielder.
And a throw.
Who has a great arm, who threw the ball on a dot to home
93
plate.
miles an hour.
What are we talking about? What? I don't even understand. Like, even if he was loafing, like, discernibly loafing, for Ali Marmol to say that to the media
right after the game
without talking to the player first is an absolute cheap shot. It's a low move. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard from a manager, maybe ever. I can't even think of something stupider that a manager has said than that. This Ali Marmol is an idiot. I mean, not a real manager. You texted me yesterday. Can I divulge what you said to me?
Please.
I was poo-pooing Ali Marmol yesterday
on John's show.
During John Harden's show,
Right.
and you texted me what?
I said he's one of the boys.
He wants to be one of the boys.
Yeah.
He's a yes man.
And he's young, too. I mean, he's basically the same age as these guys.
In his mid-30s, low 30s or something like that. He's
Yeah.
a yes man to management. That's why they fired Mike Schilt, is because he dared to question John Mozeliak, or I don't know if it was specifically him, but dared to question top brass. Ali Marmol gets brought in, and it seems to me the only stipulation is you just have to do our bidding. We're going to tell you exactly what we see
You
fit.
just got to be the guy in front of the media.
Exactly. Go with what our numbers say. Do exactly what we have.
If we tell you we're calling up a guy, we're calling up a guy. If we're saying we're sending down a guy, if we say a guy's in the lineup, he's in the lineup.
Which totally undermines the job of a manager, especially when you see traditional managers like Buck Showalter. And even though people are very critical of him because they see him dozing in the dugout and things like that.
Well, LaRussa.
Tony La Russa also had success. They had the best record in the American League for a period of time. So even you can question these old guys. They're out of touch. They're not going enough by numbers. They still utilize numbers, but being a manager is still a job with a particular set of skills, not to quote Taken. But there is a particular set of skills that come with being a manager that I don't see Ali Marmol having. He goes into the media and absolutely rips Tyler O'Neill, which leads the media to go talk to Tyler O'Neill.
Run to Tyler O'Neill.
Sprint to him where he doesn't even have a chance to defend himself to his manager. He has to defend himself to the public and the media. It's just a terrible look by Ali Marmol in that way. I haven't liked this guy for going on 6 months now, and now he just gave me another reason not to like him.
To me, and I said this yesterday with Brett, it seemed to me like a manager who – yeah, you got fired up there.
I did.
But it seems like a manager who is buddy-buddy with all the players.
Except for one.
And the team's losing. There's some very big concerns to this team. And he felt like he needed to show that he's the right guy, he's the right manager, and make some sort of profound point. And that was that we're gonna hustle, and we're not gonna. There's what do you say? There's a standard that we have to set here.
Well, how about you pick out a guy that actually might not be doing that?
Yeah.
Instead of one of your everyday outfielders that has no history of any of this behavior, who just went through rehabbing a soft tissue injury. What was it, his quad or something like that, or his thigh?
Somewhere in the leg.
Somewhere in the leg. He just finished rehabbing. It just doesn't make any sense. No. This guy is literally one of your hardest workers. He put on X amount of weight going 2 off seasons ago, where he started hitting way better when all you saw him as a fast outfielder before that. Turned himself into a great hitter. I don't even understand going after this guy. It's ridiculous. And as you said that too, questioning Oli Marmol, I don't even want this to fall on Oli Marmol, because what's the answer then? Fire Marmol and then Mozeliak, they bring in a new manager?
A new yes man.
What leads me to believe that this front office deserves to have a yes man as the manager to begin with? They haven't signed a pitcher in 2 years.
When everyone knew at the 2 months before the season ended last year, starting pitching is a concern now, and it's definitely going to be a concern last year. I remember every single time throughout the offseason and even late in the season, when anytime they would ask anybody in the front office or Marmol, anybody, what's up with starting pitching, what's the plan in the offseason, it was always like, that's not really our top priority right now. We've got other priorities.
Yeah, clearly. Signing a new catcher, which they needed a new catcher.
They need a new catcher.
They have a good lineup.
Yeah.
You know, I think they should combine the Marlins and the Cardinals and create one super team. Because the Marlins have a terrible lineup.
But a great pitching staff.
One of the best pitching staffs in the National League.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals don't have a pitching staff, and one of the best lineups in the league. I also like I've heard a lot of missing Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright, a good pitcher, had a good World Baseball Classic. Did he have a good World Baseball Classic?
I'll be honest, I don't know.
He's had a good last 2 seasons, though. But Michaelis had a good World Baseball Classic.
Sounded great in the national anthem that he sung on opening day.
Great. Michaelis had a good Baseball Classic, though, and has not started well, so maybe that's not a good indication. However, losing Adam Wainwright is not the issue. It's like a total aside to the issue, which is not signing pitchers. It's kind of like Mark Cuban saying that the reason why we couldn't sign Brunson is because his dad is on staff for the Knicks. You haven't even begun to address the issues in your organization.
Yeah.
Not getting size, not getting interior defense or rebounding, not getting a good big in that regard.
Yeah.
Not signing Brunson to an extension before he was an unrestricted free agent off of a rookie deal. Maybe those are things you can point to, a little self-reflection taking place, rather than pointing at all these external factors like, oh man, Adam Wainwright's hurt. That's why the pitching staff isn't performing. Let's say they do. Let's say the front office falls out of love with Oli Marmol for whatever reason. Pointing at him being the problem.
Right.
When he criticized one of our players, that's when he lost the locker room. Well, you guys didn't sign a pitching staff to begin with. That seems like a bigger problem. Have we alienated the entire listening public by talking about the Cardinals for this long?
Maybe.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm getting it off my chest.
Do you think Tyler O'Neill will be traded? I think he will.
Why?
Because what I've seen from Tyler O'Neill,
he's a yes man. Now they're echoing the sentiments of the front office. The front office is upset with Tyler O'Neill.
No. I just think that this is going to cause a stir between the two. And if you've already got, you got plenty of outfielders. That
they don't want to play any of them. They want to play Jordan Walker because his ceiling is high. We like what this guy can become. He's a young, really good player. Well, Carlson, you're afraid to trade last year. He's been on the bench.
Now you don't play him.
He's been on the bench so far. You have Lars Newbar, who apparently we're in love with, thinks he should be an everyday outfielder at this point, who we're cycling those guys. Tyler O'Neill.
Well, he's injured right now.
Oh, Lars is? Perfect. Tyler O'Neill's an everyday player, so it seems like they don't have a whole lot of confidence in these other guys.
But that's so weird. How do you go from having to we're not trading this guy to we're not playing this guy?
Because you have no idea of what you want, maybe. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't understand. I don't get it.
It's
It's not a
interesting.
well-run organization. However, positive note, Mad Dog, Chris Russo, thinks the Cardinals win the Central.
That was before the season even started,
It
though.
was.
I also picked
No, it was the day the
Cardinals
season
to-
started.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
That morning?
That morning.
Was it?
I saw it on MLB Network that morning.
Oh, on MLB Network. I thought that was thinking back on it, I thought that was his spot with
On ESPN.
yeah,
No,
that
it was
would've been a
during
Wednesday.
High Heat with Christopher Mad Dog Russo
Right,
on MLB
right.
Network to give proper credit.
That's right. Good job.
Hat tip. He also picked the Braves to win the East. That looks like a good pick.
Braves look good right now. But
last place Phillies.
Again, you like that. You
I
like
love
that.
it.
Do you told me last year you always have a bet that the
Marlins
are
finish
going
ahead
to
of the
finish
Phillies.
ahead of the field. Do you have that again this year?
That's right. I also have Jesus Luzardo to win a Cy Young.
Jesus Luzardo.
How about that? I mean,
wow.
I mean, the odds of
You can't on the sports book of my choice. You cannot bet on Cy Young now
anymore. Perfect. So that's why it was a great bet by me.
Because last night after his performance, I was going to go bet on him.
No, you had to do it before the season. You had to have the foresight that I did to know that Luzardo could do it. It's the only player, the only pitcher that the A's have sold on that has ended up working out at all. Frankie Montas hasn't worked out.
But he's injured. He is
exactly right before the season started.
That's a good point.
Hadn't worked out.
That's a good point.
Who else did they? And he didn't even finish the season
No,
great
he
last
didn't
year
look
either.
good with the Yankees. From day one with the Yankees.
Who was the other pitcher they sold on last year? Because Luzardo was before the season. They sold on two pitchers.
Bassett, but that was a while ago. Bassett was with them a couple years ago.
Forget about it then.
Yeah. Well,
transition to the next topic.
Luzardo has been great. It was the point to talk about. We don't have. I mean, I wish we had your pick so I can know what your feeling is on the MLB
This would have been a
season.
great thing to fill the rest of the segment out.
Would have
with.
been.
Fortunately, I haven't written them down yet.
Who do you like in the MLB? Just give me a thought.
The Orioles. Oh man, I'm really excited about the Orioles.
You want to talk about the Orioles?
Well, they don't have a good pitching staff, but that's as good
They're
of a
young
lineup as what's the center fielder's name? What's
Gunnar
that
Henderson?
Outfielder's? No, he's the third baseman,
Oh, yeah,
right?
he's third. Yeah.
Maybe it's not center field. Santander plays for the Orioles, right?
Yes.
So they have Santander. You have Henderson, Adley Rutschman. I consider to be Chipper Jones if he was a catcher. He started the
Interesting.
season out incredibly. They have another outfielder that started the season out really good too. The only downside.
They have Cedric Mullins.
Cedric Mullins as well. The only downside to me tends to be starting pitching, but it seems
Austin
like
Hayes.
It seems like they haven't. Austin Hayes is playing really well right
Yeah.
now too. He started the season really hot. So it seems like the only downside for the Baltimore Orioles is their pitching staff, which I thought this was peculiar too. I don't even know what the fellow's name is that started 2 games, but they have a 5-man rotation. They started their opening day starter twice before the 5th starter got his first start.
Was it Dean Kramer?
Maybe. I don't have I don't have an answer for you. But yeah, the Orioles I like. And also
They're really young.
I'll say this one too. The
Please.
Rays are undefeated. So I like the Rays so far too. And I said this the other day as well. I'm sneaky starting to turn into a little bit of a Rangers fan. I like this Rangers
I love
lineup.
to hear that.
Josh Jung.
Young.
Oh, it's Young?
Young.
But spelled Jung.
Because I used to call him Jung too.
Josh Jung.
It's Young.
But
the
Jung.
J sounds like a Y.
Silent.
Young.
But he's a rookie, right?
He is, yeah.
A rookie that's and he's a shortstop. Is that correct?
Third base.
Third base. Okay.
I mean, they might not be playing him at third.
Well, that's a good sign as well. And I like this Volpe character for the Yankees.
The
as
Yankees.
well.
Is he playing well? I saw the first couple of games, and he didn't really do anything at the plate.
He looks like a ball player. I
Looks
know
like a
that.
ball player, for
You
sure.
watch him walk out there, and he just looks like a ball player.
He's batting 176 right now.
And what people forget that they are,
but a 333 on base percentage.
They have turned Isaiah Kiner-Falefa into not an everyday player when he was arguably the second best hitter
why
on
is
the
that?
team last year. Maybe Bader you can consider was better, but it goes Judge and Kiner-Falefa. It's because they have Volpe. And then where are you going to put him? Gleyber Torres starts every day. DJ LeMahieu starts every day. Then you have Volpe. You also have Josh Donaldson is injured right now. Kiner-Falefa has to be your utility player.
Wow. He's also hitless through 10 at-bats.
Kiner-Falefa? Well, maybe they knew what they were doing.
Maybe.
He can also play catcher. People forget that.
That's true.
He was the rare infielder catcher back in his days with the Rangers.
That's right. I'm curious, since we're talking about the Yankees, because me and Connor, my little brother, got into an argument about this. You know, the Yankees do the roll call at the start of every game. What do you think of roll call?
Explain to me what a roll call was.
Have you never seen the Yankees roll call?
No.
They've got like a fan section in behind the outfield, in the outfield bleachers.
Oh, where they make you salute to the fans.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. I didn't know that was called a roll call.
Yeah, it's called the Yankee roll call.
Interesting.
What do you think about it?
indifferent. What do you think about it? Because you got an argument about it.
I like it. Connor hates it. Connor said it's corny.
I hate it. I think it's corny. Your counter argument. Go.
Counter argument.
Well, you said you had an argument about it, so I wanted to take
I got into an argument about it.
Well, what were the details of the argument? Bryant, I hate it. I think it's corny. Tell me I'm wrong and why.
Well, no, because the argument between me and Connor was just Connor saying it's corny, and I said no. A Yankee roll call is great. It's a tradition.
So there's not a lot of depth to the argument.
And we just went back and forth yelling that.
And he just kept saying no, and then you would say yes, and then he would say no, and then you would respond yes.
That's right.
It's tradition, and he would say no, it's corny, and then you would say yes again, and so on and so forth.
That's exactly what happened, but I just thought you'd have a thought about it. It wasn't really a conversation. It was just going to be like a quick, what do you think about it? All right. But you turned
I hate it. I think it's corny.
Okay.
I also, while I was talking about young players that are in the league, I also want to give a hat tip to Corbin Carroll, who's probably my favorite rookie.
He's fast.
He's fast as all get out, man.
I also like Alec Thomas on their team.
I have a baseline. You said that 28 feet per second, which is what... But there's no way that's right because you said 28 feet per second was the unit of measure you gave for
That's how fast Tyler O'Neill was running.
I was watching the Diamondbacks the other day, and they measured it in miles per hour because they got Carroll going around second base to third base at like 32 miles an hour or something like that. Like he was rolling.
Really?
Yeah, so I was about to say there's a baseline, but that was miles an hour, not feet per second.
But over 30 feet per second is considered elite, so maybe he was going 32 feet per second.
No, it's definitely miles per hour was the unit they put on the screen.
That's probably because you could use each.
Yeah, but you can't compare them.
You can't compare them. No, that's something you cannot do. But
unless I go to see 28 feet per second, I convert that to miles
that seems
per
like
hour.
It would be
seems like a lot of math.
Lot of work.
You know what I'll do, though? I'll do that at the break.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You talked about Josiah Gray earlier. He only 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 8 hits, in 6 innings. Does that work for you?
No. I mean, strikeouts is a good number, but that's pretty much what you're dealing with. It's either going to be in a huge blow-up outing or he's going to get a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah.
He just can't hit spots. He either strikes you out or you get a hit.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the baseball season. Not a lot today. A couple day games. You mentioned it earlier. A lot of cancellations tonight. 2 games tonight.
Spencer
Strider. We might talk a little bit about him when we talk out our bets here in a little bit.
And Merrill Kelly tonight.
But let's go ahead and get to a break. On the other side, we'll talk out our bets. We'll also give you our final Masters updates of the day. That's next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Are you looking to lease a commercial space for your business? Call Stephen Hoffman. Are you a landlord looking to have your space leased? Call Stephen Hoffman. Maybe you're looking to buy or sell commercial real estate. If so, you want a professional broker looking out for your best interest, and that broker is Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Stephen is a Memphis native who knows his market well and only works the commercial side of real estate. He works for a great firm that has been locally owned and operated in Memphis for almost 40 years. Whether representing tenants, landlords, or investors alike, you are sure to get great market analysis, access to on and off-market listings, and a tough negotiator on your behalf. Call 901-761-5595 and ask for Stephen Hoffman. You can also find him on the web at MyersCRE.com. That's MYERSCRE.com. Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Representing your real estate business is his business. Call Stephen Hoffman, 901-761-5595.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis. I know you're thinking about pools and patios right now. Don't deny it. They're on your mind. So it's a good thing that Family Leisure is having their preseason patio and pool sale. It's like they're mind readers. You can buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. You want free layaway? Done. You want special financing? Done. You want to be ready to enjoy your backyard just as soon as spring hits? Family Leisure has you covered. Patio and pool season's not that far away. So now's the time to take advantage of this fantastic early bird pricing special. Now here comes the really special part. If you mention this commercial, you get half off delivery and installation. I'll let that sink in for a second. You heard me right, my friends. You mentioned this very commercial, and Family Leisure will give you half off delivery and installation. The preseason patio and pool sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Yes, we do have availability. Those dates for how many guests?
Andrea's Boutique Hotel is the destination to tie the knot.
Oh, you want the whole property?
She needs an assistant to catch the bookings bouquets.
249 guests, huh? And 3 dogs.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we got about 30 minutes left in today's edition of the show.
You know what occurs to me?
What?
Programming.
What are you talking about?
Well, you know how, so over the course of this show, Sports Time, it goes from 3 to 6, right?
Okay.
And a lot of people tend to get off work, I would say 5 o'clock, maybe 4:45. I've never worked a real job. But I would say, I assume that 5 o'clock hour, stuff like that. So that's rush hour time, right? They're getting in their cars, they're turning on the radio. You know, we just spent 30 minutes boring people to death talking about baseball. Something you and I care about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is a huge baseball market. Programming in the future, maybe we should switch our Grizzlies conversation that we had an hour on earlier with baseball.
Huh.
Next Thursday that we have like this, we have to switch those so that 5 o'clock we can talk about the Grizzlies to keep people engaged for that 30 minutes. That occurred to me a minute ago. I was in the restroom. I thought instead of telling you that off the air before we came on the air, I would start this 5:30 segment by talking about the ins and outs of programming in radio.
Interesting.
Segment topics.
Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
Now back to whatever you were going to say.
Back to, we've got to give you a Masters update because the Masters are rolling right along in every hour here on Sports 56 today and tomorrow. We'll be giving you Masters updates. The final one for today, these Masters updates brought to you by Courage Through Cancer. Courage Through Cancer is hosting the Courage 5K on Saturday, May 20th. At Shelby Farms Park, benefiting Baptist Cancer Center. Go to www.ctcmemphis.org to sign up now. Again, that's www.ctcmemphis.org to sign up for the Courage 5K, benefiting Baptist Cancer Center. Looking towards the top of the leaderboard, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, and Brooks Koepka all at 7 under through one round. Cam Young tied for 4th at 5 under. He's also joined by Jason Day and Sam Burns.
And they're in the clubhouse,
They're
right?
also in the clubhouse.
Excellent.
And then behind them, a handful of guys at 4 under. But tip top of the leaderboard is 7 under right now. We'll see how the next couple of days play out, because the weather could be an issue going forward with some rain coming in and some colder weather in the forecast this weekend out at Augusta National. That's right.
Which is kind of an oxymoron, because chili, the food,
is hot.
It's very hot.
Chili,
but
the weather.
chili is used to describe things that are a bit cooler in nature.
That's true. So I'm not the one that named it. So
That's right.
I'm the wrong person to talk to about it, I guess.
Ben Franklin, maybe.
Maybe.
Merriam and Webster, whoever those clowns are.
That's right. I don't know if they created the word. I think they just defined it. So, have you heard kind of the talk around town regarding Memphis and Adama Sanogo?
Yeah, that he was going to go to Memphis or something like that.
Well, it still might, if he was to enter the transfer portal.
I see.
Please
expand on that.
I just came across this today. I had no idea it was a thing. I've seen around, like on Twitter, and like the deepest depths of Memphis Tiger basketball Twitter, people like talking vaguely about Adama Sanogo, and I mean,
honestly, the could have been Memphis basketball, University of Memphis basketball team.
Right.
Would have been the greatest team to ever play basketball.
And the could be next year.
Kenneth Lofton, Adama Sanogo.
No. Adama Sanogo conversations for like this coming up. Season.
But I also heard that he could have been a Tiger last year,
Interesting. See, I hadn't heard that.
So Kenneth Lofton, Adama Sanogo.
Who are we missing?
Who are the others? Tons of other players I've heard of that wanted to come to Memphis.
Wanted to come to Memphis.
Wasn't a big enough space for them.
Right, not enough space on the roster. But I kind of saw it today around that Adama Sanogo a couple months ago, I guess, maybe the first month in the season, maybe before the season started, that there was rumors that he could be leaving UConn, wanting to transfer. And so the Tigers, obviously being a team in play for a big man, would be interested. But now that the season's over and everybody on the planet knows who Adama Sanogo is because of how he played in the NCAA tournament, winning most outstanding player in the national championship game, that thought has come back around that maybe he's going to enter the transfer portal. Because are you familiar with a group? I guess it's a site, but I think it's more multimedia facet. The Field of 68.
I've seen like a tweet. I was about to get ready to say absolutely not, but I actually have seen a tweet or two of theirs.
Yeah, so it's like Jeff Goodman, a lot of those guys.
It's like a podcast, right?
John Fanta's a part of it.
They do like a podcast.
I think Kevin Sweeney is part of it. Yeah, they do a couple. I think they do but they do a lot more live streams, I think, on like YouTube and Twitter and stuff.
Okay.
Kind of like what we do for our video aspect.
Very cool.
So
they're basically like us.
Basically like us, but they
more credibility.
They're just college basketball. And I guess after the national championship game, Jeff Goodman said they're talking about the transfer portal and basically it's now the offseason, what's going to happen. And Jeff Goodman started talking about how the transfer portal has so many players already in it, and maybe one of them that could jump in the portal is playing tonight. And so everyone jumped to the conclusion that he was talking about Adama Sanogo.
And then one thing led to another, and now he's going to the University of Memphis.
And now he's going to the University of Memphis.
I did hear this interesting earlier today. I was talking to Dave Voloshin about this topic. And
Dave talked about this?
In a manner of speaking. But one aspect that we found interesting talking about it this morning was that how NIL rules do not apply to international players. So he is not eligible to make money from name, image, and likeness the way other players would for multiple reasons that we don't have to get into, although it's very fascinating that that's even the case.
Yeah.
But that actually works great for University of Memphis,
because
right?
They're going to the Bahamas.
Well, and can pay him there. But I think it's even better because this is what works great. Yeah, and let's clarify what you said there, because they're going to the Bahamas.
Right.
They would be able to pay him some way in the Bahamas because it's not on U.S. soil, so the same rules wouldn't apply and the governing bodies wouldn't care. I don't know exactly the details, but basically they could pay him in the Bahamas. But they don't need to.
Because nobody can pay.
Because exactly. And so what Memphis can pride themselves on is the quality of the program.
It's good old-fashioned recruiting.
The quality of the program, what they can make promises in their development in the future. I don't know if you've seen Jalen Duren play. He went to the University of Memphis, and he's killing it. And that all has to do with the development that took place by him at the University of Memphis under this coaching staff. So they can sell that to Sanogo. And they can also just sell the fact that the schemes that they're going to run here are just going to be done at a higher level, and you're going to learn more about basketball here than you would elsewhere. So I really think Memphis has nothing to worry about. I'm going to go ahead and chalk him up now. I got my pen here. I actually have my stone here, theater of mine. I have my stone in front of me that I etched all the roster players in because it really adds another element. Once it's etched in stone, you can't erase it. Exactly. You can even use whiteout for pens. There's no whiteout for etching things in stone.
Well, nowadays they've got the erasable pens.
So I'm going to go ahead. I got my chisel. I'm going to go ahead and etch Adama Sanogo. He's a Tiger next year.
Wow.
Just call it now.
What an addition.
Whenever we talk about the Tigers, talk about it in a matter of fact, Adama Sanogo, University of Memphis Tiger player.
Wow. All right, so Adama Sanogo, now Memphis Tiger center.
Officially.
Just in our world. If anybody just tuned in to hear that sentence.
No, it's etched in my stone. Breaking news, everybody listening, I'm reporting it. You can credit me on Twitter and other places. I make sure you credit me. Otherwise, I will sue Adama Sanogo, next University of Memphis Tiger.
Interesting.
And when it turns out to be fact, I want credit.
You want credit. Because you're the first one to say it.
I'm already reporting it.
Nobody else has etched it into stone.
I'm reporting it now. It's going to happen. When it becomes quote-unquote official from like the school and him, then I deserve credit for what I just said. This is going to take, I'm reporting.
Yeah. But last year, kind of same situation. Last year, Oscar Tshiebwe, Kentucky played in a tournament down Bahamas, one of those, Caribbean island.
I heard he was going to be a University of Memphis Tiger too last year.
Did you really?
He decided to stay at Kentucky, but he should have been a Tiger.
Right. Another one that you can add to the list. Wow, what a team.
So Sanogo, Kenneth Lofton, Kendrick Davis, Jalen Duren was going to stay, and Oscar Tshiebwe.
Wow, what a squad.
National championship team.
That is the national championship team.
And they should have beaten FAU and been in the Final Four.
That's right. And would have beat San Diego State in the Final Four national championship team.
That's right.
And if they had Adama Sanogo on their team,
because they were better than FAU,
would have won the national championship.
That's right.
Because Adama Sanogo wouldn't have been on UConn.
That's exactly right.
See what I'm saying? But last year, Oscar Tshiebwe kind of did the same thing. When they went down to the Bahamas, there was a story written by The Athletic earlier in the basketball season kind of documenting all of it, because they said they get off the plane down in the Bahamas and the whole team starts checking into their hotel, resort, whatever they're staying at. And Oscar Tshiebwe immediately goes to his first NIL meeting of the day to do different stuff, taking pictures, signing autographs, doing all these things. And they said that they were doing like a bunch of generic stuff because even though it wouldn't happen at the time that they're in the Bahamas, that 3 months down the road, if someone came and said, we want to do an NIL deal with Oscar Tshiebwe, they could sell the pictures or autographs or whatever that happened
from the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas 3 months down the road, and they could still make money off of it.
I thought it was interesting the reason why, specifically the reason why. I guess I was going to say we weren't going to get into the specifics of it, but it has to do with there is no employment opportunities for people that go to school with a particular visa.
Right.
You are not allowed to engage in any work, not just NIL. You can't work for money because your visa doesn't cover that type of employment unless it's associated specifically with a class. So another way you could work around it is if you get academics on your side and you get them a job associated with the class. They can make money that way. And it also there's tax ramifications as well, I saw when I was reading about that earlier. So those are the two reasons why. It's not just some arbitrary rule that the NCAA in their fascist ways came down with. No, I
guess we should also, if people don't know, Adama Sanogo is not from here, so that's why he has to have
from Mali.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm. Not the drug, the country.
Right. So I just thought that was interesting. I hadn't heard about it. I think where I saw it, I think Jason Munns did a mailbag or something this morning that I saw, and kind of the headline was about Adama Sanogo in Memphis. And so I looked it up on Twitter and saw a bunch of people talking about it. And I had no idea it was even a thing.
2 for 2 on mailbags. You got your St. Louis Cardinals mailbag, and you got your Jason Munn's mailbag.
So yeah, Adamas Sanogo, Memphis Tiger. Also,
Edgerton Stone.
Also, I have been seeing things that Frank Haith might not be back next year.
Oh man,
yeah,
it's too bad.
Yeah, I like Frank.
Where's he going?
Well,
we don't know. It's all rumors.
You're
not reporting.
Yeah,
unlike me, who already reported Adamas Sanogo to Memphis.
I saw this on Twitter. I don't know who this person is. It's like a hoops page or something like that on Twitter.
Sounds very credible.
So yeah, extremely credible. They said Texas maybe, but I have no idea.
To be the head basketball coach?
No, it would be, I guess, an assistant under Rodney Terry.
I see.
But it does sound like he might not be back next year, which I think depending on who you ask, would say different things. I think Frank Haith played a massive role in the Tigers.
Seems like a lot of assistant coaches only stick around the program for 1 year.
It's a trend, yes.
I wonder if that trend or pattern means anything, is meaningful in any way, or if it's just because after 1 year spent here, much like Nick Saban, everyone comes calling for them to have jobs in that facet. Could be either way. I'm not sure. Not sure what the reasoning for that is. I don't want to report on that because I have no information.
You're not a reporter.
I'm just I am. I reported that Adamas Sanogo coming to town, so I am a reporter. Don't discredit me in that way. I just don't have anything on this front.
I think it depends. I think we've seen a lot of assistant coaches that are no longer coaching.
Mike Miller,
Mitchell earlier.
Okay,
help me with his name.
I don't know. Keith.
No.
I don't know.
Whatever. I'm having a
Mitchell Robinson.
No.
He's a Nick.
But you've also seen
Donovan and Mitchell.
No. You also saw Cody Topper last year leave, and now he's at LSU. So
Mitchell and Ness.
No. But you just love to just stump me right in my spot by just yelling things at me.
I think I'm out of Mitchell's. I was really racking my brain for another
Dylan
one.
Mitchell.
Who's Dylan Mitchell?
Yeah, he played at White Station, then went to Oregon, was in the NFL for a couple years.
Unfamiliar with his work.
Really?
Unfortunately.
But yeah, so who knows? Maybe Penny Hardaway will be looking for a new assistant coach.
Mitch Moreland.
It's a great one.
Former Mississippi State Bulldog.
That might be the best one you've had.
It's not Mitchell, technically. It's Mitch. But I'm sure on his birth certificate it says Mitchell or something like that. Yeah. One more question. Do we have to take a break right now?
No, please.
You're not the boss.
I'm not the boss.
I'm the producer. I'm in charge of when I press the buttons. So let me ask you one more question here. What do you make of, there was a lot of talk.
Sam Mitchell.
Oh, Sam Mitchell.
Yeah. That was like Penny's first staff.
Sorry,
go ahead.
What do you make of? No, I did it to you. It's fair. You do it to me. And yours was actually closing,
it was the actual,
closing the loop on something meaningful, whereas mine was nonsensical. What do you make of a lot of? I don't know if a lot of. I saw some talk within the fan base of the Tigers on Twitter that was very much excited for, let's say, the downfall of FAU, saying they're going to get decimated by the portal, and maybe even Coach Hardaway's going to go in there and take some of their players for good measure.
So even more guys that could be Tigers.
What do you make of
John L. Davis?
What do you make of the "this team beat us, so I hate them now" approach?
I
don't you think you love the Tigers? You bleed blue in a way.
Blue, covered the team for years.
Did you want to see FAU, especially as an incoming team in the league, have success in the tournament, or did you pray for their downfall immediately because the Tigers should have beat them?
Well, I think it's weird.
Both.
I get where the frustration comes from because you're kind of right there. You thought you could have the win.
You're nicer than me. I don't get it at all.
But also, I have a friend that was for how long was the tournament after Tigers got out? 2-3 weeks?
3 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. 2 weeks
2 weeks
following.
Yelling in my ear, Memphis should be mad that FAU is going as far as they do. That should be the Tigers.
Well, there's no guarantee you can even beat Fairleigh Dickinson, for goodness sake.
San Diego State got revenge for the Tigers.
Well, and maybe, here's a crazy thought. I don't know if this has ever crossed anybody else's mind. Maybe FAU making to the Final Four shows they were actually the better team in that game. So rather than the Tigers got jobbed, they should have won the game, and because of that, they would have been in the Final Four. Maybe one of those teams isn't as good as the other one. You guys can decide which one I'm talking about.
This was a team that even after the NCAA tournament lost 4 games the entire year. Here's my thing about it.
Overrated.
When everyone talks about how bad the American Athletic Conference is going to be next year, I think when you see a team that is having success that could be sustainable success with their coach coming back, all their players young, could be returning guys.
Unless Coach Hardaway decimates their team.
Unless Coach Hardaway
portal.
goes in there and does his thing. I think you should be happy because that could be a team that could come into the American and make the American a better basketball conference and give you competition so that you're not what the thought has been for a while. It's just going to be Memphis and everybody else below them.
Well, it will be, though, because I don't know if you know this, Bryant. Memphis is closer to a blue blood than FAU is. You might say, well, FAU went to the Final Four last season. Well, Memphis went multiple times,
right.
and the last time was in, like, the 80s. So that's actually not true. 2008, that's true. Well, either way, I mean, they have more storied success and therefore can keep it up more likely.
Great point, Jay.
Thank you.
Fantastic point. But we got to get to a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jason Bottom's Led Zeppelin Evening. Live. An unforgettable evening of Led Zeppelin's greatest hits and deepest cuts. May 18th at Graceland Live. Tickets on sale now at GracelandLive.com. Jason Bottom's Led Zeppelin Evening.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Hi, golfing friends. The 64th year anniversary membership special at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is here. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee plus tax, get a 2-year anniversary membership at Meadowbrook and enjoy unlimited golf from Tuesday through Sunday. You must call Meadowbrook Country Club today before this special offer is over. Get your $89 membership today. Just go to golfwestmemphisar.com or call 870-394-4186.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, April 8th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We will be taking applications, performing basic testing, and interviewing candidates on site. Free parking located at Poplar Avenue and Front Street. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 in relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye!
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Jay, what I learned today is that the Memphis Tigers have hired a women's basketball coach, Alex Simmons, who was coaching at Gardner-Webb.
Wait, what happened to Katrina Merriweather?
She went to Cincinnati to coach Cincinnati.
I see.
That's where she went to college, so her alma mater. Go back there.
I think it's alma mater.
Alma mater.
Uh-huh.
As they go to the Big 12. So Alex Simmons will be the new head coach for the Tigers women's basketball team. She's from Tennessee. She's from Shelbyville, Tennessee. Played college at the University of Tennessee. Won 2 national championships there before getting into coaching. She, at Gardner-Webb, a couple down years when she first got the job, but 2 years ago, 16-15 record, 13-5 in conference. Last year, 29-5 on the year, 16-0 in conference, and got a berth to the NCAA tournament. So I think this is a really good hire for the program. I think the program's going in the right direction. I think this hire helps that.
Mantra is something you live by.
Well, I live by my university's mantras. That's my alma mantra.
You bleed blue.
That's right.
What I learned today, that's what I'm doing first,
That's
right?
what you're doing.
What I learned today was 65 was the number on day one at Augusta National. 65 was the number of the 7 under 65 in the clubhouse in the lead right now. 3 guys there, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, and Brooks Koepka. We'll see if that keeps up. I wouldn't be surprised if not a whole lot more than 7 under is what wins the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit with the weather. It won't surprise me at all. What I could have done with that, we were just talking about the Tigers and their basketball team in the last segment, all the could-have-beens. You're talking about how the Tigers are a blue blood in your mind, and I've got some bad news for you. A Twitter account, College Basketball Report, listed the tiers of college basketball all-time teams. The Tigers are only in the good programs tier.
Well, how many tiers are there? What are the tiers?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got the Blue Bloods tier.
Blue Bloods.
North Carolina, Kentucky, UCLA, Kansas, and Duke. Next in line, UConn, Indiana, Louisville, Villanova, Michigan State.
What is that?
Next in line.
Oh,
to
next
be a blue
in line.
blood. Next 4 out from being a blue blood. Michigan, Syracuse, Arizona, and Ohio State. Then you've got great programs.
Wow, not even a great program.
Which are Arkansas, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, North Carolina State, Georgetown, Florida, Illinois, and Houston. And then you've got good programs, which is a ton of teams.
5th tier.
Like 10 teams. Memphis in there with Gonzaga, Baylor, Marquette, those type of teams.
Wow, with Gonzaga, though, great company.
Great company.
Mark Few, though, can't win the big one. Not
That's
a good coach. What I could have done without today, I had to keep looking at the clock to make sure I'm not running long here. What I could have done without, man, I just learned this news a minute ago. Very upsetting. The Bucks, without Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's already been ruled out for tomorrow night's game against the Grizzlies.
Oh, wow.
So I guess that's good news for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I'm a Grizzlies fan, I want them to be playing their best ball in the postseason. And it's sometimes good to be playing the best opponents for that. No Giannis on the Bucks kind of leads me to believe that they might be sleepwalking in the playoffs here.
You don't want to see that. Definitely don't want to see that. What I'm going to keep an eye on tonight, not a lot of baseball tonight, but we do have NBA, a lot of NBA games tonight on TNT. Heat versus 76ers, Nuggets versus Suns. The Thunder also in action against the Jazz.
They are in action tonight, a big game for the Thunder and for the Jazz, for that matter, to keep hope alive, as it were. I think the Jazz actually mathematically eliminated, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're
really?
No, they're not. They're right there. They still have a path to the playoffs, as slim as it may be. I believe if a loss, other teams can clinch. What I'll be watching tonight, like you said, not a whole lot. I'm going to be watching the Spurs and Blazers. Another player ruled out for tonight, Shaedon Sharpe of the Blazers. We saw how important he was the other night when the Grizzlies played them. Spurs I took this morning at -2. They've gone up to -4. I would take the -4 too tonight. I think the Spurs dominate that basketball game. I'm also going to be watching this Braves-Padres game.
Yeah.
Spencer Strider and Blake Snell on the mound. That total is at 8.5. I like the under in that baseball game. I think the Braves teed off on the Cardinals. I think scoring is going to be lower in this game by both teams. Strider's a good pitcher.
Yeah.
Snell didn't have a great first outing, but I think he can take care of the Braves.
Yeah, should be a good game. The other baseball game tonight, Dodgers versus Diamondbacks, the late night game at 9 o'clock. We already kind of talked about all the rainouts today. Hopefully a better schedule tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got the first Apple TV Plus game of the season.
That's at night, but a lot. No,
there's an afternoon game.
Rangers Cubs
At like 1 o'clock.
That's right. And Marlins and Mets have a makeup that starts tomorrow at noon as well.
Oh, fun. Who's on the mound?
Ed Cabrera.
Oh, wow. I like Edward Cabrera. A good pitcher. Last thing before we get out of here, the Memphis Showboats. I talked yesterday about how they released their mascot. Are you warming up to the Showboats as we get closer to the season?
Yes, because they sent us a package yesterday, and I'm telling you, if you want to advertise with us, I take freebies, and I'll talk about you. You want to send me a jersey, you'll be my favorite team in the sport.
Wow.
Swear to God.
Okay, so you're a Showboats guy now. Well, they unveiled their mascot yesterday.
Bodie.
They're now wanting people to vote on a team name.
Vote on Bodie.
Bodie's not an option. Would you like to hear the options?
Write in Bodie.
Skipper, Captain, Pepper, and Muddy.
You know what I would do?
You'd write in.
You know how
Bodie.
yes, but you know how in Alabama they always get like 10% of the vote is written in for Nick Saban? Write in Nick Saban.
I mean, I guess that's an option. But if you want to go vote on the Showboats mascot, go to their Twitter page. They're doing the voting there. But that's all the time we've got today. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.